the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226, The Art of Heavenly Prison. Tokurisauji, who mastered the 7-day calling technique, was a member of a separate family, but his strength had always been feared by Tokuritaro. Although he had the advantage, he still found ways to divide the three opponents, but Tokurisauji directly refused, causing Tokuritaro's face to become ferocious. The moment he clenched the long sword in his hand, two identical long swords actually sensed each other, and a hidden technique was activated. "You traitor!" Facing the scolding, Tokurisauji had a clear conscience. He did not agree with the clan leader's approach, sacrificing so many innocent people on the island for the benefit of the entire clan or himself. What's more, in the eyes of Tokurisauji, the rise of the Kazekage in the new Sunagakure is unstoppable. The emergence of the Tokuri clan this time is completely to become pawns in the hands of others, and is completely seeking death. Tokuritaro's hidden technique was activated, and amid the flames, a seal suddenly appeared on Tokurisauji's body. The strong flame totem produced huge flame burning power, causing Tokurisauji to half kneel down. His own chakra meridians were destroyed in an instant. This is the complete version of the heavenly prison technique. Compared with ordinary seal restraints, the secret hand on his sword just now almost paralyzed Tokurisauji in an instant. The art of heavenly prison? How is this possible? The fire escape heavenly prison is Wu-Wei's unique sealing technique of Ghostland 10 City. It blocks the opponent's chakra. Any attempt to mobilize chakra will cause the sealed person to be burned in a state of fire. But when Tokurisauji's sword was activated, the sword quickly left Tokurisauji's hand and fell into Tokuritaro's hand. The two swords merged into one, showing his strong strength. When separated, these two swords are just ordinary longsword weapons, but together they are powerful enough to fight against 7 ninja swords at the same time. Shiraishi noticed that a person was approaching from behind and quickly turned around. At the same time, countless sand rains were projected, but he saw that the latter also turned with one hand, and countless huge fire rains came towards him. Sand and rain intertwined into sparks in midair. Shiraishi and Shirogakure jounin faced each other again, but it was a life and death fight. Caught in a deadlock, Shiraishi did not hesitate at all. A huge vortex of sand and dust formed on his fingers and blasted out. However, he saw that the latter used the same sand control technique as Shiraishi, and the exact same sand and dust vortexes hit each other. The same Shiraishi family's sand control technique surprised Shiraishi. At the same time, the latter appeared behind and performed another special sand control technique. The blood-red sand revealed its ferocious giant hands and attacked Shiraishi crazily. Hands of blood and sand. This is one of the forbidden arts of the Yamaji family, which requires the use of human sacrifice. When Yamaji Lingzi was in charge of the Yamaji family, this technique was listed as a forbidden technique and burned permanently. The only people who still master this technique in the world are the deceased Yamaji. Apart from Lingzi, she was the only one. Shanlu Zaochan, it is indeed you, as Shiraishi roared. Shirogakure jounin's disguise was seen through, and she was seen transforming back into the appearance of Shanlu Zaoharu in the process of twisting her body. In the terrifying blood-colored pupils, blood and sand surged behind Shanlu Zaochan, turning into 4 pairs of giant blood-colored hands and attacking. Shanlu Zaochan's expression remained unchanged. He looked at his childhood sweetheart and showed a naughty smile. Are you surprised? Although he had already guessed a certain truth, Shiraishi's mood was still not completely stable. When did you and the Takuguri clan unite? Haha, it's much sooner than you think. Using the box of bliss as a condition for cooperation, Yamaji Zaoharu had conspired with the Tokuri clan a few years ago. However, to unlock the full power of the box of bliss, a large amount of chakra would be needed, and half of the lives on the entire island would have to be sacrificed. At the same time, He also needs to regain the key that was taken away by Morimoto Ryaji's father on the surface. Yamaji Tachibana and Yamaji Ryuko have been deliberately making things difficult for Morimoto Ryoharu, but the Yamaji family returned Morimoto Ryoharu's belongings to his father and sent people to guard Morimoto Ryoharu's surroundings all the time, making Yamaji Moharu unable to do anything point under the attention of Kazekage. It was difficult for the Kingdom of Nan to implement such a huge plan until the Five Shadows Conference started and Kazekage visited Ghost Lantern City, allowing them to find an opportunity point. After seizing Tokuri Sauji's weapon, Tokuri Taro held both swords and turned them into a whirlwind of twin swords, directly attacking Tokuri Sauji and trying to chop off his head. However, Sauji Tokuri responded quickly and retreated, but Taro Tokuri's offensive continued. At this time, Ryaji Morimoto stabbed out with a black sword, but was knocked back by the energy of Taro Tokuri's two swords. Ryaji Morimoto, compared to your father, your swordsmanship is too weak. At the same time, in the rear, the Suna ninja dressed up as Shanji Zaoharu appeared at the same time. The moment she saw the flame mark condensed on her hand and blasted out, Morimoto Ryaji turned around and struck out with a sword point. The sword light pierced out, but when another Shanlu Zaochan retreated, he suddenly changed back to his original appearance. Surrounded by endless flames, the Lord of Ghost Lantern City appeared domineeringly. The Lord of Ghost Lantern City, I'm afraid even Lord Kazekage didn't expect this round. Feeling the powerful strength of the person who appeared, Morimoto Ryaji's face darkened. Do you know my father? Not only me, Sanji Moharu and Tokuri Taro all know your father. After all, he used his life to stop the three of us for half an hour, which led to the destruction of the original plan for the Box of Bliss. Woo-wees. Words made Morimoto Ryaji's pupils shrink, and the black sword in his palm condensed a huge whirlwind. However, he saw the figure of the Lord of Ghost Lantern City flash out and blasted out with a violent fist of flames. Morimoto Ryaji was immediately hit hard. At the same time as Morimoto Ryaji retreated, the black sword in his hand was retracted to his side. Seeing the change in Wu-Er's expression, he confirmed one thing: you specially lured us here to release the complete energy of the bliss box. In addition to the huge chakra, you also lack the key. Now it seems that the black sword my father left me is the key you are looking for. The Lord of Ghostlight City, Wu-Wei, is a powerful person, that the leader of the Grass Ninja Village taboos, so he naturally has a cage level. Although Morimoto Ryoharu is a jounin, he is still a little powerless in the face of such a strong person as Wu-Wei. You guessed it right, but so what? Overbearing. Flames rolled up from around Wu-Wei and turned into a huge flame blocking formation. Seeing that the situation was unfavorable, Morimoto Ryoharu made an immediate decision and jumped up to meet Shiraishi and the seriously injured Toguri Sauji, back to back. At the same time, he took out Shiraishi's special scroll and a special dimensional hole rise suddenly. Is this the Kazekage's space-time ninjutsu? Originally, the purpose of luring these three jounins here was to find the black sword on their bodies. However, Morimoto Ryaji unexpectedly possessed a dimensional hole from Shiraishi. Although it was only for one-time use, it was enough to help them escape. Reading www.ukanshu.net. As the three people disappeared, Yamaji Zaoharu was very calm. Kazekage's black hole time and space ninjutsu, teleportation distance and range, will not leave this island area. Look for them one by one. On the outskirts of the country of Kyushu, Hyuki Kito is moving quickly on the water. As a separate body of Shiraishi, he has been paying attention to the situation in the country of Kyushu. Previously, Akatsuki provided intelligence that made Shiraishi aware of the seriousness of the problem and asked Hyuki to go to support point. A huge wave of water rolled up on the water. Seeing this, Ghost Deng Hyuki quickly retreated with a ruler in hand. It's you. Under the sky covered with ice and snow, Kirigakure Jounin Zhuu appeared. Her pupils had long lost focus, and she was like a walking corpse controlled by a unique technique, blocking her in front of Heiau Point. Although she was controlled by others, Zhuu was still a genuine ice escape blood ninja. During the Five Shadows conference, Her strength was able to threaten Shirogakiji, which is enough to illustrate her strength point at the same time. Among the 3 sand ninjas who were temporarily out of danger, Saji Tokura's situation became increasingly dangerous. The intense burning power generated by Wu-Wu's heavenly prison technique began to spread to Saji Tokura's internal organs. Chapter 227, Birth of 8-Day Heifer, Part 1. NBSP. On the isolated island, Erakoa-lan looked at Tokuri Saji's injuries with a heavy face. The degree of damage to his chakra meridians completely exceeded his expectations. Generally speaking, the heavenly prison technique is a passive trigger, but Wu-Wu's attack this time was an active trigger, almost instantly invading every organ and cell in Tokuri Saji's body, almost completely destroying his body. Morimoto Ryaji looked anxiously. Erakoa-senpai, how is Saji doing? The meridians in his body were almost completely burned, and his body organs are also failing. Erashi did not expect that one of the core forces on his side, Toguri Saji, who mastered the 7-day calling method, would be targeted from the beginning. The weapon he carried was actually a trap. What's this knife about? Mentioning his weapon, Toguri Saji shook his head. Ahem. I thought that I received that sword as a gift from heaven, but now it seems that it was completely planned by the clan leader. Back then, Tokuri Saji's own 7-day call technique shocked the entire country of Kyushu. On the surface, Tokuri Taro congratulated Saji Tokuri for his breakthrough and increased strength, but in fact he was afraid of him, and arranged for a conspiracy against this genius in the clan. This sword was a weapon that Tokuri Saji accidentally obtained while training at the hot spring waterfall in Nano Country. When he brought it back to the clan, he found that the clan leader had a similar sword on him. Everyone regarded this as an anecdote. Even Tokuri Taro made it clear that he didn't know why the same weapon appeared in the waterfall. It was obviously a gift from heaven, and it was fate that allowed Tokuri Saji to wear this long sword. The sword given by heaven made Tokuri Saji cherish the weapon he wore, but he never thought of the trap behind it. The transmission distance of time and space ninjutsu is limited. It is still within their search range. We must find a way to contact the outside world. However, the isolated island where the 3 of them are located seems to be calm, but in fact it contains a large amount of special poisonous gas, making it difficult to break through. How long will it take for the puppet dragon to be used next time? About an hour. The puppet dragon in the scroll needs another hour to fully recover its energy. During this time, the 3 of them cannot leave the island. Faced with the predicament at hand, Toguri Saji struggled to get up. You 2 should leave first when the time comes, and I will find a way to break up the rear by myself. If it weren't for the selfishness of the Tokuri clan, the situation would not have deteriorated to this point. Tokuri Saji blamed himself and decided to take responsibility. However, Morimoto Ryaji shook his head. No, you must not abandon your companions. Not only did Morimoto Ryaji refuse Tokuri Saji's request, but even Erashi frowned and thought about how to break through instead of leaving Tokuri Saji alone. He is the leader of the Sunagakure intelligence department, and he often thinks about these conspiracies on weekdays, but Erashi also has his own principles. If he insists on using any means, what is the difference between himself and Yamaji Moharu? Mentioning Shanlu Aoharu, Erashi felt heartache. He never expected that she would look like this now. Seeing the rejection of Morimoto Ryaharu and Erashi, Toguri Saji wanted to say something, but his face became even more painful. They are coming. The restraints of the heavenly prison technique were strengthened, and it was obvious that Wu-Wei and others had found their location. Saji, you stay here first. Erakoa-senpai and I go out to deal with them. /U003CBR /U003E. Without giving Tokuri Saji a chance to speak, Erashi and Morimoto Ryaji quickly rushed out of the cave and fought with the Tokuri clan. Why do you want Xiaonan to remind Kazekage? In the Kingdom of Rain, Pain is in the middle of the 6 paths, staring at Obito with his Samsara eyes. Shiandao, or Nagato behind him, does not understand that Obito wants to plot the Sanji Zaoharu gang behind his back. Shanji, Zaoharu and I are just using each other. Now that we need a lot of material help from Suna Ninja, we should show our kindness. The deeper reason is that Obito has mastered the information about the box of bliss, so he no longer needs these teammates. After all, these people are a group of profit-minded secular people, and they are not from the same group as him. Infinite Tsukuyomi cannot save these guys. Although Obito has turned dark during this period, he hates the people like Yamaji Zaoharu from the bottom of his heart. It is his plan to use the hands of Kazekage to eliminate them. It is because there are too many people like Yamaji Moharu that the ninja world has become so chaotic. Our purpose is to bring hope to the world. After a short period of cooperation, this filth needs to be cleaned up. Nagato, the controller behind Shiraishi, agreed with this concept. In the eyes of this group of middle school students, Yamaji Moharu and his friends had two vulgar goals, and they were unwilling to join the Akatsuki organization, so they had no choice but to abandon them. The key is that they refused to join the Akatsuki, so the Yamaji group has long been worthless in Obito's eyes at this stage. The Akatsuki organization and Sunagakure are in the honeymoon period, and the information provided by Zion is appropriate for establishing a certain friendship with Sunagakure. After taking care of Yamaji Moharu's affairs, Obito turned his attention to Konoha. It won't be long before I'm ready to give birth. What's your plan, Kyuubi's? Action to capture him in advance is not a bad thing. Obito's figure flashed and disappeared into the space in front of him, while Shiraishi, who was dressed in red robe, slowly walked towards the rain country and looked at the world without saying a word for a long time. On the outskirts of the isolated island, the elite of the Tokuri clan came out to surround this sea area. In action, the three giants of Shanlu Zaoharu and Tokuri Taro gathered together, preparing to launch a general attack to seize the key sword in Morimoto Ryaji's hand. A large number of members of the Sword Hunter clan were seen attacking, but countless giant sands poured out crazily. Shirogakiji, who controlled the sand control technique, took the lead and blocked these people one by one. But at this time, Yamaji Moharu and Tokuri Taro took action together. Kanshu www.ukanshu.net. The Hands of Blood and Sand cooperated with the double sword offensive. Shiraishi was besieged for a while and became difficult to parry. Zao-chan, you are pushing the Shanji family into the abyss. Haha, I never cared about the Yamaji family. In fact, didn't you also sweep the Shiraishi family into the trash heap of history? Yamaji Moharu asked back, making Shiraishi's face turn very dark and ugly. At the same time, Tokuri Taro's double sword attack became more and more fierce, and the sharp blades were tearing away with terrifying air currents as for Morimoto Ryaharu and Wu-wei once again faced off. The black sword's attack was fierce, but Wu-wei's expression remained unchanged as he controlled the power of flames. Under his dark eyes, he calmly responded to Morimoto Ryaharu's attack. Toguri Saji in the cave clenched his fists while facing the bloody battle between Morimoto Ryaji and Shiraishi outside. The more he tried to break through the heavenly prison technique, the whole feeling of burning his body in flames made him even more uncomfortable. As his body was being tortured, Toguri Saji spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his whole body was in an extreme state of collapse. How could I admit defeat? Chapter 228, Birth of 8-Day Heifer, Part 2. In the torture again and again, the heavenly prison technique that burned all over Toguri Saji's body was subtly combined with his own 7 heavenly calling technique. Although his body became more and more broken, his momentum became more and more amazing. To put it bluntly, the 7-day breathing method is a special breathing method that uses lung capacity to increase the explosive power of one's own physical skills. However, one must have a strong body to have lung capacity corresponding to various active states. The heavenly Lao technique brought a harsh burning sensation, causing Tokuri Saji's own lungs to be burned. In an instant, the body's active state increased to a huge limit, and power beyond the 7th active state could be activated without the need for lung capacity. The 8th active state is simply a self-destruction technique. Toguri Saji took out the scroll he carried with him, which recorded the complete 7-day calling practice, but the 8th active state was not included. After writing in the last 8th active state, Toguri Saji slowly stood up, and the blood red energy generated in his body burned hotter and more vigorously. Tokuri Saji's 7-day calling technique broke through the boundaries at the last. Critical moment, and he realized the 8th active state of the 7-day calling technique's higher level on his own. At this point, the 7-day calling method has completed its final upgrade and has been upgraded to the 8-day calling method. Just when Morimoto Ryoharu and Shiraishi were fighting more and more embarrassingly and were forced into a desperate situation by 3Kage level experts, a blazing phoenix roar resounded across the entire island of Kusuno country. Morimoto Ryoji raised his head, and a secret scroll of the 8-day calling technique written by Toguri Saoji fell into his hand. Toguri Saoji, whose skin and flesh were scorched all over his body, said softly, "The 8-day calling method, you will be responsible for keeping it from now on, Saoji, you." Without any nonsense, Toguri Saoji, whose whole body was burning with blood red light, turned into a terrifying storm and struck hard. The whole person's skin felt a stinging pain like an explosion. The closer Jiu Leng Cheng Wu got, the more terrifying he could feel the current state of Saoji Toguri. After a moment of decision, Wu saw a vortex of heavenly prison flames condensed around Wu, trying to stop Toguri Saoji, but the pure power of Toguri Saoji's fists broke through Wu's offensive in Ghostlight City, and at the same time, the powerful physical damage was shattered in an instant. The body of inaction killed the enemy with one punch. How is this possible? I used the box of bliss to transform my body, but I couldn't block his punch. Wu spit out a mouthful of blood, and a huge blood hole was blasted out of his chest, and the organs inside, including his heart, were violently shattered. He simply couldn't believe that he died like this. This feeling may be comparable to that of the 7 ninja swordsmen when they met Mat Day, right? Wu's death shocked everyone in the audience. Toguri Taro held 2 swords in his hands. Toguri Saoji, do you really want to go against the entire clan? Without answering any words of Toguri Taro, Toguri Saoji appeared in front of him in an instant. After crushing Toguri Taro's swords with the powerful force of his hands, his fists produced a sharp light and cut off all the chakra meridians in Toguri Taro's body. There is no nonsense. Every time Toguri Saoji punches, a member of the Toguri clan has his chakra meridians cut off, giving up the possibility of becoming a ninja. The speed of the attack and the terrifying wind of the fist turned all the elites of the Sword Hunter clan into ordinary people. The future of the Sword Hunter clan will lose its glory, but it can survive in peace. Is this the strongest mode of 7-day calling? Shanlu Zaochen's face changed slightly. Although he had expected that this physical technique would bring huge trouble to himself, he did not expect it to be so terrifying. 3 shadow level combatants, plus a group of elite sword hunter tribesmen, were destroyed by an ordinary ninja using this kind of super boundary physical technique. What he had been planning for many years was ruined like this. Shanlu Zaoharu's heart was shattered. The previous plan, even the Kazekage of Sand Hidden Village, was deceived by Ghostlight City Wu's fake death. Such a smooth operation was ruined by this guy. How abominable. After a battle to establish his power, Yamaji Zaoharu had already given up the fight, and the blood and sand turned into a huge wave and hit him. But he saw that Toguri Saoji did not let this woman go. A huge vortex of airflow condensed on his fist, which instantly turned into a sharp airflow. Sharp blade point. In an instant, Yamaji Moharu's right arm was cut off, and with a scream, the current head of the Yamaji family suffered heavy injuries. However, Shiraishi quickly controlled the giant sand and caught Yamaji Moharu from behind. Shiraishi, you loser. Seeing that he was captured, Shanlu Zaochen gritted his teeth. The remaining blood and sand on his body changed with his own blood, and at this moment, turned into a huge red light, shining on the island. The exploding body and the splattering blood symbolize Shanlu Zaochen's secret technique of self-destruction. Saoji, when the battle ended and the smoke dissipated, Toguri Saoji was seen standing in the center of the battlefield. His fists were not lowered, but the burning high temperature flames eventually swallowed the entire Toguri Saoji. At the last glance, Toguri Saoji showed a smile and looked at the sky. In the burning fire, Morimoto Ryoji half knelt down. He could hardly hold the black sword in his hand for a long time. He never expected that the final outcome would be like this. And Shiraishi also felt very frustrated. At the same time, on the outskirts of the desert island, the battle between Gui Dengheiyu and ZHUU was coming to an end. ZHUU, whose soul was almost wiped out, was no match for Beishi's split-body Gui Deng Heiau. Just when Ghostlight Heiau was about to defeat ZHUU, the Shirogakure puppet on the opposite side, a fierce red light fell on ZHUU. In an instant, the blood red light surrounded him, and it was so powerful that Gui Deng Heiau took 3 steps back in fright. It scares the baby to death. What a strange setting this is. Ghost Deng Heiau pretended to be frightened, but at the same time, under the regeneration core scan of his eyes, he quickly discovered that ZHUU's body in front of him seemed to be occupied and controlled by a powerful soul. How can the container still be used directly like this? This game is even more advanced than Orochimaru. UU Reading www.ukanshu.net. However, the stability of the soul has become worse. Previously, Shanlu Zaochan used the secret technique of self-destruction to transfer his soul into ZHUU's body. In an instant, the muddy pupils of the body in front of him gradually gained color, and a moment later, ZHUU had an expression point. Although this expression was very ferocious, it completely distorted ZHUU's originally delicate face. Ha 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 ha, this secret trick really works. Amid the crazy laughter, ZHUU, or Shanlu Zaochan, felt that he was out of the battlefield, and suddenly showed a ferocious look. Using the power of the box of bliss, I'm no longer an existence that ordinary people can kill. Today, she had carefully prepared a siege net, but it was suddenly destroyed by 3 jounin. Especially when she cheated on her 8th active state, Shanji Zaoharu was pinned to the ground and beaten. This humiliation made her very angry. Sorry to interrupt you talking to yourself. Just when Shanlu Zaochan was about to turn around and leave, heading to the ancient city, to activate the power of the bliss box again, Beishi's separated ghost lamp Heiau showed a shy smile. You seem to be unable to go anywhere. Chapter 229, Ice Flame Escape Extreme Cold Flame. Looking at the ghost lantern and the moon opposite, Shanlu Zaochan felt an instinctive alarm for some reason. Who are you? Let him answer this question. Facing the problem of algae spring on the mountain road, the smiling ghost lamp Heiau's eyes flashed with regenerative core light, and a pure silver mask appeared in his hand. The moment he put on this ordinary silver mask, ghost light Heiau's consciousness temporarily retreated into the background, and Shiraishi's main consciousness from Sand Hidden Village personally projected onto ghost light Heiau. I saw twisting whirlpools appearing in the waves on the sea. Shiraishi stared at the woman opposite him indifferently. Shanji Zaoharu noticed something. His pupils shrank, and his face was very nervous. Although they had a brief encounter at the Gui Deng ruins, Gui Deng Heiau's feelings at that time were completely different from now. This sharp and powerful air pressure almost made Shanlu Zaochan breathless during the Ghost Lamp ruins period. Ghost Lamp Heiau showed his strength, and he was not afraid of it. However, the strange thing was that, after putting on the mask, Shanlu Zaochan felt that he could not defeat it at all. Shanlu Zaochan, do you know your guilt? This special mask is a thinking resonance device specially developed by Shiraishi. Once Heiau puts on this mask, Shiraishi's consciousness will be the leader. As soon as Shiraishi opened his mouth, a special sound wave was produced, which turned directly into an illusion to disrupt Shanlu Zaochan's consciousness. She subconsciously stepped back, fearful of the man in front of her. It was as if the 5th Kazekage appeared in person in front of him, turning over the long white sleeves on his hand. Shiraishi saw countless bubbles condensing on his palm and attacking with great force. After Shanji Zaoharu, who was standing on the sea, barely escaped from the illusion, he saw Shiraishi's new offensive. He quickly used ZHUU's body to activate the Ice Escape Blood successor to try to block it, but saw a beam of light shot from Shiraishi's finger. Suddenly the defense of Shanlu Zaochan was shattered. Water escape beam? Could he really be the 5th Kazekage? Without giving Shanlu Zaoharu more time to think, Shiraishi had already gone out to the other side. The moment he opened his fingers, a powerful and twisted suction force was generated. The dimensional hole was used in a special way. Shanji Zaoharu had too many secrets, so Shiraishi was ready to use a thunderous gesture to directly suppress the patriarch of the Yamaji family in front of him. As soon as the dimensional cave turned around, 3 black wormholes with integrated offense and defense appeared around the white stone, attacking at extremely fast speeds. However, they saw algae spring on the mountain road triggering ice escape, and huge ice and snow lotuses appeared around them, spreading from all directions. Use massive group moves to curb your quick attacks. The white stone is projected on Ghost Denheiyu. In essence, the chakra and body control techniques are both Ghost Denheiyu's. It is more of a change in technique. In essence, this body is still afraid of ice escape damage. Thinking of this, Shiraishi formed a seal with his hands and pointed at the ice surface. To activate the psychic technique, the smoke dissipated and a giant ancient whale roared. At the same time, the ice surface suddenly shattered. At the same time, a storm poured down from the sky, breaking the counterattack of the ice escape stream, and at the same time, a purple electric current shot out. The size of the ancient giant whale was too astonishing. Although Shanlu Zaochan had the intention, he was unable to resist. As the ice lotus was being shattered bit by bit, the person in charge of the Shanlu family made a desperate move. As the cold air spread, it turned into the most powerful attack. However, a huge storm barrier was created around the ghost lamp Heiyu, and the ancient giant whale simultaneously sprayed out a majestic source wave beam. Compared with the root wave used by Shiraishi, the power of the ancient whale combined with the storm is even more amazing when using this move. Beams of light shot out all over the sky, destroying Shanlu Zaochan's attack. It will take some time for this body to adapt, so it is effective for ZHUU's own power. The sand control technique is limited in its power, because the battle is on the sea. However, in this overwhelming crushing battle, Shanji Zaoharu did not expect the outcome to be like this. During the retreat, Shiraishi was about to grab Shanji Zaoharu, but the latter's face turned cold, and he spurted out countless needles of blood and sand. Shanlu Zaochan's tenacity was beyond Shiraishi's expectation. After countless water streams turned into water blades to block the attack, the head of the Shanlu family looked proud. Sanji Zaoharu, why did you betray Sunagakure and the Sanji family? Mentioning the Shanlu family, Shanlu Zaochan chuckled and sneered. The so-called family, to me, is a relationship of mutual use. The faces of these people are always disgusting. From the moment when Shanji Zaoharu took the initiative to represent the Yamaji family and offered to occupy the land in the Oasis Ring area, Shanji Zaoharu began to mine for the Sand and Sanmei family, which ultimately directly led to the Iroquois family being confiscated by Shiraishi. Shanlu Zaochan didn't care about the Shanlu family, and even said with contempt, "My father's family is the direct line of the clan." In order to give birth to a boy, to compete for the position of the head of the Shanlu family, he did not hesitate to use my mother as a reproductive tool. After my mother gave birth to my sister, she died in childbirth, but my father didn't even look at my mother's tombstone. Ever since she was little, Shanlu Zaochan has had a stubbornness that refuses to admit defeat. This stubbornness continues to this day. She can be seen condensing the last blood and sand needles in her hands, and her expression is still that cold and fierce. Even if you succeed, you still won't be able to control Shirogakure village. The fourth Mizukage has been controlled by Obito. According to Yamaji Moharu's idea, Shirogakure village is now almost undefended. If you master the power of the Box of Bliss, you can take down the entire Shirogakure. Seeing Shanlu Zaoharu's questioning look, Shiraishi shook his head. The person who controls Mizukage has already regarded you as abandoned children. Otherwise, how could I come here so quickly to support you? Akatsuki betrayed Sanji Moharu's group in exchange for the interests of Sunagakure's side, which meant that Sanji Moharu's plan was not feasible from the beginning, because Obito had no intention of giving up Shirogakure village. Regarding Obito's betrayal, Yamaji Moharu's expression remained unchanged, without any change, and he continued to resist Shiraishi's bubble attack tenaciously. What about you? Erashi Iroquois, he and I are on the same journey. You read www.ukanshu.net. It's just that he dedicated everything to the 5th Kazekage, and I dedicated everything to myself, not wanting to talk about Iroquois or Erashi anymore. Yamaji Zaoharu's offensive became more and more fierce. After the blood red needle was introduced into her body, the flow of chakra in her body intensified. The momentum was very fierce, and the ice lotus kept turning into ice needles all over the sky, and blasted out. This move was very familiar to Shiraishi. When Shanji Lingzi rescued him, he used the secret life technique of the Shanji family to buy himself time point. As if it was reincarnation, Shiraishi made a final counterattack against Shanji's Aoharu. A silver flame jumped out from Shiraishi's fingertips. Any ice escape offensive by Shanji's Aoharu was meaningless in front of this silver flame point ice flame escape extremely cold flame. In an instant, Shiraishi's 5 fingers turned into claws. As the extremely cold flames surrounded him, they turned into a silver light, instantly piercing Shanlu's Aochan's heart point. After crushing Shanlu's Aochan's heart, Beishi's expression remained unchanged. Since you don't want to be captured alive, I will allow you to die here. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, Night of Nine Tails. In the southern castle of the country of Kyushu, as the main force of the Tokuri clan was annihilated, Iroquois Shiraishi and Morimoto Ryoji quickly took control of the situation. The only pity was that Tokuri Saji was killed in this incident. The 8-day call he left behind has also become a heavy scroll in the hands of Morimoto Ryoji. However, the two of them did not have much time to remember the deceased. They held the black sword left by Morimoto's father and soon they arrived in the ancient city. The black sword was used as a key to penetrate into the box of bliss, forming a huge sealing formation. In the end, the box of bliss was restored again. Controlled by the seal point on the way back to Sunagakure with the box of bliss, Iroquois Shiraishi accidentally saw Yamaji Moharu's body on the sea, and the special frozen green flame energy remaining on his body, which made Iroquois Shiraishi understand something for a moment. Since Tokuri Taro was deprived of all his strength and all the elite members of the clan were wiped out, the Tokuri clan quickly chose to surrender. However, Sunagakure did not pursue these clan members too much, mainly because of the death of Tokuri Saji. Tokuri Saji not only protected the interests of the Shinsa hidden village, but also presented a super taijutsu 8-day call method before his death. Naturally, the Tokuri clan's merits outweighed their faults, and Shiraishi did not hold them responsible. After Morimoto Ryoharu obtained the 8-day calling technique, his physical skills improved rapidly, and even Hoshinome was unable to suppress this companion whose strength had exploded. At the same time, the rule of the Tokuri clan in Nan country was basically over. After the situation settled, the island returned to its former tranquility, as if the huge natural energy disaster had not happened. In Feng Ying's office, Shiraishi looked at the two silent people and waved his hand to let them take some time off and return with a good attitude. One of the two lost their childhood sweetheart, the other lost a good friend, and were depressed. At the same time, the news that the head of the Yamaji family, Sanji's Aoharu, died in the Kusuno country mission also caused chaos in the Yamaji family. Two heads of the family died in battle within a year, and the Shanlu family started a new round of internal struggle and declined even faster. On the other hand, after the situation in Nan country, the sea train plan was finally put on the table. The current first phase of the sea train mainly involves the construction of a huge sea train track in the 3 places of Kono-kuni, Kusuno-kuni, and Wind No. 1 to transport a large amount of materials. According to Shiraishi's vision, after the construction is completed, the overall transportation volume will be greater than it has improved several times in the past. However, the entire train laying process was very slow. It took half a year to successfully lay the first track from Kono country to Kusuno country. In addition to concentrating on construction in the past 6 months, Akatsuki's power has also been developing in secret. After Orochimaru and others joined, its overall strength increased. At the same time, Sunagakure also assigned many tasks to Akatsuki's mercenary group. Especially for some of the young ninjas' maritime trade and land missions, Ziodo carried out certain sniping attacks on them. Apparently Shiraishi still holds grudges about Reikijai's betrayal during the 5-Kage conference. Although he was temporarily out of reach of Kumo Ninja, he still secretly planned many incidents against Kumo Ninja. One of the most important events was the Crescent Moon Country incident in August 60th year of Konoha. After the local people could not bear the suppression of the daimyo, they directly overthrew the Kigu country daimyo. The fugitive daimyo of Kiba Country quickly sought help from his former big brother Thunder Country. In the name of the mission, the daimyo of the Land of Thunder asked Cloud Hidden Village to send a team to suppress such riots. In the past, a ninja team was enough to cope with the situation and control the Kingdom of Teeth again. But this incident is not that simple. While the Kumo ninja was slowly moving, some wandering warriors, or wandering ninjas who had mastered chakra in the Fang country, established a small Kumo ninja village and took the initiative to ambush and attack, repelling the Kumo ninja team. This incident aroused the anger of the Fourth Kazekage. The Kingdom of Fang has always been the younger brother of the Kingdom of Thunder, but in this incident, the Kingdom of Fang seems to be controlled by other forces behind it, and it dares to provoke the Kingdom of Thunder like this. Just when the Kumo ninja's reflex arc was a little too big, Sunagakure's movement had already begun. A large friendly exchange group traveled across half of the continent and arrived in the Kingdom of Tooth. Soon after the friendly exchanges, the two sides quickly established a cooperative relationship with each other. At the same time, Sunagakure village leased a three-headed puppet dragon to the Tooth Ninja village. The three-headed giant dragon puppet is a big deal. Although Yun Ninja also has special electromagnetic emission ninja tools, compared with these flying dragon puppets with teeth and claws, Yun Ninja's weapons are very limited. Under Sunagakure's training, the combat methods of the Kiba Ninja village became more and more difficult. Every time, the tailed beast hammer was launched to clear the area, and then the Kiba Ninja village on the ground carried out various encirclement and sniper operations, and never directly engaged the Kumo Ninja troops. The Kumo Ninja sent several letters to Shiraishi, hoping that the Kazekage could stop this kind of support operation, but Shiraishi was unmoved, and just asked the Kazekage's office to issue a mild statement. The general meaning is that Sunagakure has never participated in any grievances between ninja villages, and renting the puppet dragon is just a friendly civil exchange activity. On the surface, they distanced themselves from each other, but in fact, Sunagakure increased his efforts to fight against the Kumonan invaders in the Ganon village. With the support of a large number of detonating charms and various kunai hidden weapons, the first batch of ninjas in the Ganon village gradually grew. During this process, Konoha, as another bordering force, would naturally not miss the opportunity to torment Kumogakure like this, and also provided a lot of huge support to the Kiba Ninja village. With the support of both Konoha and Sunagakure, the Kiba Ninja village relied on Yuto and the puppet dragon's sneak attack method, which was enough to contain most of the Kumo ninja's energy, allowing the scale of troops invested in the Kingdom of Kiba to increase. After a full 2 months of confrontation, Kumogakure invested a lot of manpower and material resources, but was still unable to win a small Fang country. After losing all face, Konoha and Sunagakure began to act as mediators, allowing the two sides to sit down and negotiate. So again in the Kingdom of Iron, representatives from Konoha, Suna Ninja, Kumo Ninja, and Fang Ninja sat down, and after a fierce argument, the Kumo Ninja and the Kingdom of Thunder behind them finally recognized the fact that the Kingdom of Fang had changed hands. As the Kazekage, Shiraishi quickly issued a statement, saying that this was a symbol of peace in the shinobi world. No one wanted war, and he was also happy that the country of Teeth could make decisions for its own citizens. After finishing everything, Shiraishi unexpectedly discovered that it was October of the 60th year of Konoha, and Namikaze Minato's wife, Kushina Uzumaki, had entered a countdown to giving birth. The top management of Konoha attaches great importance to the production of the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, because during pregnancy, the energy of the seal that suppresses the tailed beast is used to nurture the fetus, which will cause the seal to weaken. Reading www.ukanshu.net. The seal was almost released when Mito gave birth. The third Hokage proposed that the delivery room be set up outside the village, protected by a tight barrier and many Enbu masters directly under the Hokage's jurisdiction. At the same time, the wife of the third Hokage, Sarutobi Biwako, and another Anbu Kunoichi, Shianji, served as midwives, and Minato would accompany him to protect Kushina and prevent the seal from being broken. Feng, are you on duty tonight? In the Uchiha guards, Uchiha Fugaku's wife Uchiha Makoto held Uchiha Sasuke in her arms and saw that the person on duty was actually Uchiha Kid. Yes, ma'am, I want to go out for a walk. Please accompany me, since She had just given birth to Sasuke. Uchiha Makoto was not in good condition, so she needed a good guard from the clan to take care of her all the way. Currently, only Uchiha Kid was on duty in the guard team, so Makoto took Kid and left. Uchiha Kid, who followed Uchiha Makoto, didn't know what she was thinking. Her eyes remained unchanged, but at this time Makoto suddenly showed a happy look and saw her good friend Uzumaki Kushina walking towards her. Chapter 231, Uzumaki Kushina. Uzumaki Kushina and Uchiha Makoto were classmates and best friends, so they had a very good relationship. When they met each other, they were very happy to hug each other and chat. Is it a girl? The first thing Uzumaki Kushina said was that she identified Sasuke's gender as a girl. Perhaps it was because she was too beautiful, so she misunderstood. The boy's name is Uchiha Sasuke. Wow, he has the same name as the third Hokage, Uzumaki. Kushina looked at the newly born little Sasuke, her face glowing like a star. Well, I hope he will become a brave and great ninja. The name Uchiha Sasuke carries the expectations of Makoto and her husband. Although there was a gap between the Uchiha family and the top management of Konoha at this time, it did not reach the point of incompatibility. Later, Uchiha Kid looked at the pregnant Uzumaki Kushina with a suspicious look in her eyes. Although her guess was correct, this woman should be the Ninetales Jinchuriki of this generation. Kid Uchiha knew only a limited amount of information about the Ninetale Jinchuriki in front of him. In fact, Uzumaki Kushina had strong chakra since she was a child and was able to suppress the Ninetales Mito. The first Ninetale Jinchuriki is about to die. Out of strategic needs, Konoha discovered and selected her as the new Ninetale Jinchuriki in order to maintain the balance of the tailed beasts and protect the country from invasion. Brought her to Konoha Point when Kushina learned that she was about to be the container of Kyuubi. What she said was that the loneliness and depression that followed almost suffocated her. I obviously don't want to, but I have to accept this cruel reality. When Kushina was most helpless, Granny Mito enlightened her with a smile, and eventually they were brought here to become the containers of the Kyuubi. She vaguely remembered what Granny Mito said: before a tailed beast can be placed, it needs to be filled with love. It was this sentence that allowed Kushina to let go of her mental burdens, face life with an optimistic attitude, and finally successfully became a new Jinchuriki. Because only the leadership of Konoha knew about this change of Jinchuriki, Kushina did not suffer the same collective discrimination and rejection from the villagers in Konoha village as Naruto did. When Kushina first arrived at the ninja school and met her classmates for the first time, she met Minato. However, as a child at the time, she did not have any good impressions of Minato. In her opinion, he was an untrustworthy and boring person. Uchiha Makoto and Uzumaki Kushina held hands, looking at their pregnant bestie in front of them. Uchiha Makoto clearly remembered the heroic words she said when they just met. I want to be the first female Hokage. When her classmates asked Kushina about her future dreams, she did not want to be looked down upon and wanted to impress her classmates. This bold declaration shocked the whole class. I remember that some of my classmates didn't like this idea at that time. They thought that a little girl who had just arrived and started shouting that she wanted to be Hokage was overestimating her abilities. So the boys began to tease Kushina one after another. Seeing her fiery red hair and round face, they nicknamed her Tomato. Originally, Kushina admitted it herself, but the boys still refused to let her go. She was so angry that she once followed the boys and beat them up one by one. So Kushina got a new title, Blood Red Pepper. This is why she hated her red hair so much in the first place. When it was Minato's turn to speak, Minato hoped that everyone in the village would recognize him and become a great Hokage. But Kushina was also disapproving when she heard it. What really brought the two together was a kidnapping incident by Kumo Ninja. In fact, Kushina's chakra at that time was not only powerful, but also quite special, so she was targeted by Kumo Hidden Village in the Land of Thunder at that time. Kumo Ninja was having the most trouble controlling the Eight Tails. Even the Third Kazekage took action, but he still could not find a way to completely control the Eight Tails. Kushina was kidnapped after she graduated from ninja school. Along the way, while the escorting Yunren was not paying attention, she secretly pulled out her hair from time to time and threw it on the road. To Market Point, Konoha immediately sent out pursuers to search for him, but found nothing. As she neared the border and began to despair, Minato was the only one who discovered the mark and followed it. After defeating those Kumo ninjas, Minato hugged Kushina, looked at her with a smile, and complimented her on her beautiful hair. It turned out that Minato liked Kushina's red hair very much from the beginning, so he was very impressed by it, and it was precisely because of this that he was able to find Kushina smoothly. Point at this time, Kushina discovered that the boy in front of her, Minato Namikaze, whom she had once looked down upon, was a man who could truly realize her dreams, a man who was truly worthy of her trust, reliance, and entrustment throughout her life. The most important thing was that he had changed herself. Kushina's originally hated red hair finally became the red thread of fate in her destiny, leading her to find her soulmate and binding the two tightly together. From then on, Kushina began to like her red hair, and more importantly, she fell in love with Minato. Have you decided on your child's name? Well, it's been decided. The name is Naruto. I will definitely become a good classmate and friend with little Sasuke in the future. Naruto's name comes from one of the three ninjas, the name of the male protagonist in Jiraiya's debut novel The Legend of the Strong and Perseverant Ninja. The image of Naruto, the hero who never gives up, is remembered by Uzumaki Kushina. Point therefore, when Minato proposed to name her soon-to-be-born son after the protagonist of the novel, she firmly supported her husband's idea. Point however, Sarutobi Biwako, the wife of the third Hokage, looked a little strange. It was the critical moment of Kushina's delivery. She was chatting so happily with the Uchiha clan, but there was always something wrong. Thinking of this, Biwako pulled Uzumaki Kushina away. Enough chatting, it's time to leave. Looking at the guarded eyes of Sarutobi Lake Biwa, Uchiha Makoto showed a look of regret. Perhaps she did not expect that the high-level officials of Konoha had such a serious grudge against Uchiha. Point. Although the identity of Uzumaki Kushina has not been made public by the top management of Konoha, the Uchiha clan, as an old rival who has fought with the Senju clan for countless years, naturally knows the identity of Uzumaki Kushina. Point. But that's all. Fugaku doesn't care too much about the Kyuubi at present, but the village's obvious attitude of guarding against the Uchiha clan always makes people feel very regretful. Feng, let's go back. In the delivery room, Jiuei tried to break through the seal several times, but failed. Uzumaki Kushina's powerful chakra and sealing techniques tightly restrained the Kyuubi's actions, but outside the delivery room, Uchiha Obito appeared strangely wearing a mask. Point. A large number of Konoha's peripheral guards and Anbu were killed by Obito. It must be said that compared to the Rain Country period, Obito's strength has improved rapidly. Point. On another high ground in the distance, Kid Uchiha slowly appeared. While the three Magatama Sharingan eyes were rotating, he cleverly observed the changes in the situation. Chapter 232, Who are you? Uchiha Obito's space-time ninjutsu is very strange. He used his special means to sneak into the delivery room, kill the two midwives, and quickly snatched the newly born Uzumaki Naruto from Namikaze Minato. Point. With cold eyes and no trace of emotion, Uchiha Obito used extremely destructive means to face his former instructor. Namikaze Minato faced Obito's strange ability for the first time during the confrontation between the two. Although he succeeded in using the Flying Thunder God saved the newborn Uzumaki Naruto, but Uzumaki Kushina was captured. Point. Using the transfer of divine power, Uchiha Obito soon activated his unique sealing technique. While countless black chains tightly grabbed Uzumaki Kushina, Uchiha Obito's eyes showed no emotion. What on earth are you going to do? Release the Kyuubi and destroy Konoha without too much nonsense. Uchiha Obito activated the Shikijutsu, and instantly the nine-tailed seal in Uzumaki Kushina's body was greatly damaged. When the power of the Sharingan confronted the nine-tails pupils turned into the same Sharingan. Point. The moment the Kyuubi was completely pulled out, Uzumaki Kushina quickly fell to the ground, but she did not die. On the contrary, she still had a certain vitality, which shocked Obito and Uchiha Kid. Point. The vitality of the Uzumaki clan is also too strong. After the nine tails are extracted from the general Jinchuriki, their lives are basically at risk, but Uzumaki Kushina can still survive. Point. No wonder Uchiha Madara chose Nagato, who is also from the Uzumaki clan, to inherit the Samsara Eye. Even his own body chose the Uzumaki clan as the mother body. to create a new super blood successor individual point. At this moment, Namake's Minato suddenly appeared on the battlefield and rescued Uzumaki Kushina. At the same time, considering the safety of mother and son, they decided to rescue and retreat home. First point, the huge ceiling technique was activated, and in the central area of Konoha village, an all-day roar resounded throughout the village, followed by an appalling riot of terrifying chakra power. Uchiha Obito channeled the Ninetales using psychic techniques, causing disaster. The entire Konoha quickly launched defensive measures. Among them, the Third Hokage made a prompt decision and quickly organized troops to resist. Point, a huge tailed beast jade condensed from the mouth of the Ninetales. The Ninetales, controlled by the Sharingan, destroyed it wildly. A large number of Konoha ninjas and civilians were quickly affected and killed due to the suddenness. Seeing that the tailed beast hammer was about to blow up the village, Minato rushed to the scene and used the time and space barrier technique to divert Kyuubi's tailed beast cannon. Point, at this time, Namake's Minato took action again and fought with Uchiha Obito. Kamu faced off against the Flying Thunder God. Obito, who had even weirder abilities, was accidentally cracked by Namake's Minato with the second stage Flying Thunder God. Rasengan destroyed the enemy with one blow. Point, observing this battle at close range, Uchiha Kid was surrounded by a strange mist, and his own chakra perception was reduced to a minimum, so he could observe this battle at close range. Point, Namake's Minato's on-the-spot combat ability was far better than that of the masked monster, and the Flying Thunder God's ingenious second stage transformation caught the opponent off guard. Point, as expected of the fourth Hokage, the Flying Thunder God's skills are perfect and there are no flaws. While Namake's Minato was fighting fiercely with Kyuubi and Uchiha Obito, Uzumaki Kushina also made up her mind to fight side by side with her husband. Point, I saw Kushina barely binding the Ninetales with chakra chains and creating a barrier, but she vomited blood because her body had reached its limit. Naruto, in his arms, cried loudly after being woken up, making Uzumaki Kushina's eyes full of reluctance. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up. Naruto. Kushina's awakening at this moment is to use her remaining chakra to die with Kyuubi to protect Minato and Naruto. Point, when she endured the pain and smiled and said thank you Minato for everything he had done for her, Minato felt extremely guilty and blamed himself for receiving so much help from Kushina, but in the end he failed to protect the mother and son well. Point, Kushina, on the other hand, did not complain, let alone feel sad. She expressed that she was very happy. Not only did she understand and encourage Minato, she also told Minato a confession of love that moved him to tears again, and said that her only regret was that she could not seeing Naruto grow up. Point, seeing the decision made by Minato Namake's and his wife to protect Konoha, Uchiha Kid, who had already known the outcome of this night, also admired this couple. Point, it's a pity that after tonight, Konoha will lose this powerful couple. Point, in the end, Minato made his own choice so that the couple could meet Naruto when he grew up, so that his lover would have no regrets, and so that Naruto could have the power to completely defeat the masked man. Point, at the same time, for the sake of the peace and stability of Konoha village, he resolutely decided to sacrifice his life to seal the Kyuubi by himself, and sealed half of the Kyuubi's chakra and the last chakra of himself and Kushina and Naruto. Let the couple be able to accompany Naruto in his body as he grows up, and set up a sealing program so that they can help at the two most critical moments. Kushina strongly opposed Minato's approach, believing that he should not sacrifice himself like this and let Naruto bear such a heavy burden since he was a child, but should live to raise and teach Naruto to grow up. Point, Minato insisted on his opinion, explained his thoughts, and said that the children of the destroyed ninja village would not be happy, and Kushina herself could understand it, and finally convinced Kushina. Point, next, Minato used the Gaul seal to seal Kyuubi's negative chakra, and then began to use the Bagua seal to prepare to seal the Kyuubi's positive chakra. Kyuubi discovered Minato's intention and tried to kill Naruto, while Kushina was weak, but was blocked by Minato and Kushina. Point, on her deathbed, like all mothers in the world, Uzumaki Kushina expressed her love to Naruto with tears in her eyes. And this first reminder of love for their children is the only one for them as first time parents. The Kyuubi was sealed, and both Minato and Kushina died. It is really a pity that a couple that should have been a perfect and happy couple ended up not being able to enjoy the happy family life of a family of 3. Shiraishi of Sunagakure village used his identity as Kid Uchiha to witness the entire process of the Night of the Ninetales and sighed deeply. The peace of the ninja world will be maintained by Sunagakure from now on. On the other hand, just as Uchiha Obito left Konoha village and retreated scarred, he coughed violently midway point. After experiencing the training of the Shiraishi 5-Kage conference, Yu reading www.ukanshu.net, Namikaze Minato has stronger seals and attack methods than in the original work. At least the power of the Rasengan has been increased by 1 level, causing Obito's injury to be more serious, seeing that his body was a little unable to bear it, but seeing Ju's secret reminder, Obito's expression changed. He didn't expect that someone had been following him secretly from the beginning. Who? A chain was shot out, but the disguise was slowly removed in the dark night. A young Uchiha tribesman stood in front of Uchiha Obito coldly. As the 3 Megatama in his eyes continued to rotate, a special luster suddenly appeared. For some reason, Uchiha Obito disliked the pair of Sharingan. At the same time, he also became more vigilant. Being able to hide under Zetsu's perception for so long, this person of his own race was not an ordinary person. But why in my memory, there is no such a powerful character among the Uchiha clan? I also want to ask you the same question. Who are you, Uchiha Madara? Uchiha Kid doesn't believe this statement, because judging from his performance in the battle with Namikaze Minato, he cannot deserve the name Uchiha Madara. Chapter 233, using the famous name to control the country of wind. Uchiha Obito didn't care about the appearance of Uchiha Kid at first, but as soon as the chain was shot out, Uchiha Kid made a bang, as if a bomb exploded under his feet, and countless flaming sparks splashed out in all directions. The whole body turned into a beast in high-speed impact. With a posture of chasing the sound, it roared towards the opponent, and appeared in front of Obito in the blink of an eye. With the protection of divine power, Obito bounced out naturally and harmoniously, facing the difficulties without evading anything. There seemed to be an afterimage in the air. It seemed that in just a moment, Obito arrived first, and got in front of Uchiha Kid. The flaming fist penetrated Obito's face, and at the same time, chains poured out from Obito's hands. The burning flame exploded, and turned into a huge air vortex. Obito accidentally discovered that the flame on Uchiha Kid's palm turned into a silver light that he had never seen before, and actually collided with Obito's body. The extremely cold flame is Shiraishi's secret weapon. In this ninja world, the only complete person he has seen is the dead Yamaji Moharu. Obito did not directly participate in the Kusuno country mission, so it was the first time he saw this silver flame. Specially made similar to Aoki Shiraishi's blue flame and the Uchiha clan's Amaterasu, but it also contains the powerful freezing power of ice release, a combination of ice and fire. With this extremely cold flame in his hand, Uchiha Obito became a new taboo. He turned sideways and appeared in another corner, and the remaining ice slag on his body was shattered by him. Facing the mysterious young and powerful member of the Uchiha clan in front of him, Obito's eyes were full of caution. You can call me Madara, it's just a code name. Do you still insist that you are Uchiha Madara? Uchiha Kid frowned, but he made no further moves, and faced Obito in the jungle. The 2 sides were silent for a long time, and Uchiha Kid slowly spoke. My name is Uchiha Kid, and I'm the son of Uchiha Cham. Uchiha Kid's self-introduction made Obito realize at once that he was the son of Uchiha Cham. It was rumored that his current situation in the clan was not very good. As a family close to Konoha in the past, Uchihas and died on the Sunagakure battlefield. He should have been given a generous burial, but due to the interference of Danzo's family, Konoha's attitude towards Uchiha Kid was very cold. Such a gesture naturally hurt Uchiha Kid, and after Obito understood the key, his eyes showed a hint of understanding. I see, you are also full of disappointment with the current Uchiha clan and Konoha. For me, what I need more is how to improve my power. In this era, there is also the powerful Sharingan power to control the Ninetales, which makes me full of curiosity and expectation. Uchiha Kid's statement made Uchiha Obito not in a hurry to speak. Obito who had been planning the conflict between Konoha and Uchiha, was accustomed to taking everything into his own hands, but the appearance of Uchiha Kid somewhat disrupted his original plan. The mysterious frozen fire made him full of fear. In addition, he was Uchiha Kid and Uchiha Shizu's cousin, so Obito did not dare to believe what he said easily. If you need to know more about the power of the Sharingan, look forward to meeting in a month. Konoha lost the Hokage, and now the situation in the entire village must be in chaos. The Uchiha clan, Konoha's top management, and other families are all in a huge whirlpool. In addition, Obito's injuries from the battle with Namake's Minato need to be repaired, so for the time being retreat first. This interesting tribesman, I will have a good chat with him in person next time. Kid Uchiha was also very troubled by Obito's ability to elude ghosts. Watching him leave with the mysteriously sensing ninja in the dark, there was a deep and fierce light in his eyes. A great ninja village like Konoha would be plotted by such a hidden rat, killing Namake's Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, a couple that even Shiraishi found troublesome. The destructive power of the Akatsuki organization was even more powerful than he expected. Although Shiraishi knew part of the future history, he never expected that the masked monster would actually sneak into Konoha alone on the night of the Ninetales and cause so much damage. Minato Namake's is dead. On the night of the Ninetales night, 16 projected virtual figures appeared in the Kazekage office, representing the jounin stationed in various areas, including Shiraishi, Shirogakiji, Morimoto Ryoharu and others. When the Kazekage spoke to his group of cronies, the first thing he said was a big news event that shocked the entire ninja world. Is the information accurate? As the head of the intelligence department, Shiraishi didn't even get any news about the drastic changes in Konoha, but Lord Kazekage relied on his own channels to obtain such important first-hand information. Namake's Minato's wife is the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Tonight she had an accident during labor, and the Kyuubi broke the seal and caused trouble in the Leaf Village. After Shiraishi briefly explained the situation, the eyes of several jounin present jumped. The Ninetales, the strongest among the nine-tailed beasts, wreaked havoc directly in Konoha itself. You can imagine Konoha's embarrassment tonight. Take over the entire Konoha country, and then go north to take over the Craft country. There is also a Takumi ninja village in the Takumi country. Although the Shiten Joshi are strong, they are unable to resist Sunagakure's full force invasion. The huge warship currently parked outside the port of Kusuno country will soon arrive in the country of craftsmen. Under the leadership of Ryoji Morimoto, it will not be a big problem to seize the entire country of craftsmen. The Karakuni army represented by Naga's Bison will also sweep across the entire Karakuni territory and completely annex the entire rich land. Maybe we can annex the Bear Country as well. The Bear Country is not weak. At least they have a star ninja village. They use meteorites to practice the peacock technique, which can transform chakra into various shapes to attack and even fly. The disadvantage is that it cannot defend against melee attacks during the spell. Faced with this proposal, Shiraishi expressed his opposition. Annexing the Bear Country will probably cause a full-scale rebound in Konoha. Even if the Hokage is lost, Konoha going crazy will be very troublesome. Don't forget the Iwa ninja. The Kumo ninja are also our enemies now. The centipede insect is dead but not stiff. Although Konoha has lost the fourth Hokage, the whole village is at its lowest morale. However, Sunagakure is forcing too much, which may cause the three major ninja villages to jointly send troops to Sunagakure, because the country of bears is southeast of Konoha. The biggest barrier, losing the country of bears, Konoha will be very weak and exposed to the entire ninja world. Control the country of Takumi and the country of Sichuan first. Teacher, do you need to inform the daimyo when Sunagakure sends troops? The daimyo of the Land of Wind logically needs to authorize it. Shiraishi thinks about it. According to the old rules, we will send troops first and then let the daimyo sign a supplementary agreement. Will the daimyo refuse to sign? No, the daimyo is on his way to Sand Hidden Village now. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Shiraishi's words caused all the jounin present to burst into laughter. The daimyo government office of the Kingdom of Wind was hit by a huge sandstorm some time ago. The entire government office was almost razed to the ground. The huge desert city that was once prosperous is now very desolate. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Sunagakure invited Lord Kazekage to move his headquarters and build a new mansion in the new Sunagakure village. The daimyo of the Land of Wind wanted to refuse this invitation, but Shiraishi dispatched the jounin squad very quickly and had already invited the daimyo to Sunagakure village. Inviting the daimyo to stay in Sand Hidden village. Shiraishi did something that no previous Kazekage would dare to do. But he doesn't care. The existence of the daimyo's mansion is just a necessary foundation to maintain the normal operation of the entire Kingdom of Wind. Moreover, the daimyo has been restless recently and has contacted too many foreign forces, so Shiraishi has taken such countermeasures. Aoki. Shiraishi, you are so bold. At this moment, the name of the Kingdom of Wind almost gritted his teeth and said this. Chapter 234, The Messenger at Naruto's Funeral. The daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind looked very unhappy. His mansion and even the entire administration were hit by an inexplicable huge sandstorm and were razed to the ground. Before he could recover, a large number of sand ninjas appeared for rescue and invited him in to Sunagakure village. During this period of time, the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind have been contacting envoys from various countries, and even some other ninja villages have come to jounin to secretly protect the safety of the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind. However, when a huge sandstorm fell, the most elite jounin troops of the sand ninja appeared. On the grounds that the enemy country was holding the daimyo hostage, they launched a large-scale attack on these foreign envoys and ninjas in the territory of the Kingdom of Wind. These ninjas had no advantage. After being directly killed or captured, the daimyo's mansion was completely controlled by the Kazekage system. It's called an invitation, but it's actually a prison. The daimyo of the Land of Wind was invited on the way to the Shinsa Hidden village in great embarrassment. Originally the daimyo was still very angry, but no matter how many curses he cursed along the way, he could not change the fact that Kazekage acted daringly, so he became worried about his situation. Anyone who can serve as a daimyo of a country is not a simple person. The Kitajima family and a large number of retainers around him rushed to the Shinsagakure village together with the daimyo. It was obvious that Lord Kazekage wanted to control the daimyo government within his sight. This method of using the daimyo to control the entire Kingdom of Wind made the daimyo shudder a little, because he had never seen such a Kazekage who didn't take him seriously. How could such a monster and madman appear in Sunagakure? After recognizing the reality, the daimyo reacted much calmer and even made a request, hoping to maintain the configuration of the daimyo mansion as much as possible in terms of daily life and diet. Seeing that the daimyo was so cooperative, Sunagakure naturally treated the daimyo well in this regard and provided him with delicious food and drinks. Your Majesty, the daimyo, this is the new residence. Utilizing the new technology of the Sand Ninja, the daimyo's mansion in the Kingdom of Wind was more majestic than in the past. Under the support of the magnificent palace, the daimyo forgot his unpleasantness for a while and entered the palace with his entourage. In fact, just a moat was far better than his previous residence. When the daimyo stepped into the palace, he found that the entire building layout was combined into a whole with changes in shape and ups and downs. This design is functionally consistent with one's own ideal hierarchy. At the same time, the effective left and right balance and body changes achieved. How many more palaces are there in total here? About 20 palaces make up this mansion. The receptionist Suna Ninja introduced with a very calm face. The entire new mansion should be able to meet the needs of the daimyo in accordance with the 4 principles of Zuozu, Yaoshi, Facing and Haoshi. Haha, Lord Kazekage is really thoughtful. Just as the daimyo was excitedly visiting his new mansion, Sunagakure began to issue an order in the name of the daimyo. In the early morning of October 11th, the 48th year of Konoha, the 16 combat brigades of Sunagakure poured directly into the entire territory of Kono-kuni. Sunagakure has already understood the geographical environment of Koa country. After all, this is the second time to occupy the entire territory. Compared to the first occupation period, Konoha was still a little resistant. This time, Konoha seemed to be an afterthought. After discovering the invasion of the Suna Ninja, it took the initiative to evacuate the territory of Kono-kuni. At the same time, the Maritime Legion led by Morimoto Ryoji attacked the country of Takumi. The Shitenzo people, as one of the few strong men in the Takumi ninja village, started a fierce battle with the sand ninjas. However, in the face of Morimoto Ryoharu, who had mastered the 8-day calling method, the advantages of the 4 elephants were completely wiped out. In only the 4th active state, Morimoto Ryoharu easily defeated the 4 elephants and captured the entire country of Craftsman Point. The historical Craftsman Ninja Village was once founded by the famous ninja craftsman King Mui, who was good at making and using ninja tools. They supplied the ninja tools of ninjas from all over the world. However, since the rise of Sunagakure, the orders of the Craftsman Ninja Village have plummeted. National power began to decline on a large scale. However, many ninja tools in the Takumi Ninja Village still have a certain value, such as the chakra absorbing armor of the Shitanjoshi, as well as powerful ninja weapons such as the Dragon Eye retractable sword, the Peacock sword and the lightsaber, all of which were seized. The timing of Suna Ninja's action was perfect, and even Obito, who was secretly observing the situation, was frightened by Shiraishi's actions. He never expected that the Sand Ninja was so well prepared and could complete control of the core country and the entire Takumi country in less than a day. Shirogakure issued a document of protest against the occupation of Takumi country, but nothing happened. The current chaotic situation within Shirogakure makes them unable to interfere with external situations. As for Konoha, now the entire village is holding the funeral of the 4th Hokage. The 3rd Hokage has returned to take charge of the overall situation during this special period. Regarding Minato's death, the 3rd Hokage was extremely sad, especially since Sunagakure's actions to fully expand his power were undoubtedly intended to take advantage of Minato's death to bully Konoha into leaving only the old, weak, sick and disabled. But today's Konoha must endure it, because the new generation of Konoha has not yet grown up. And the 3rd generation of Hokage must survive and use his own body to support the next generation of Konoha. Faced with the provocation of the Suna Ninja, Konoha sent people to negotiate with the Suna Ninja. However, according to Shiraishi's instructions, the Suna Ninja representatives kept delaying the meeting between the two parties until the Suna Ninja completely controlled the situation in the Korakuni and Takumi country. Ye launched a new round of talks. The country of Sichuan could no longer be saved. Facing the southern barrier and being completely annexed by the Sand Ninja, the 3rd Hokage was angry and helpless at the same time. The suspicion and rejection of the Uchiha clan and the village rose to the extreme with the Ninetales incident. That night, Uchiha Fugaku stood still, and the guard did not send anyone to support the local defense of Konoha village against the Kyuubi. This became the biggest mistake of Uchiha Fugaku's life. No matter what Fugaku thought at the time, the Uchiha clan is now directly listed as the suspect for provoking the Ninetales incident. Danzo put a lot of pressure on the 3rd Hokage. He always accused the 3rd Hokage of not doing things well. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Let Sunagakure bully Konoha and Uchiha do whatever he wants. He is an incompetent Hokage. Seeing Konoha's weakness, Shirogakure wanted to get involved, but at this time in the Kingdom of Teeth, Sunagakure once again deployed a large number of puppet dragons, which made Shirogakure feel as sick as if he had eaten flies. In fact, Shiraishi's increased investment in the Kingdom of Teeth is to put pressure on the north of Konoha and to curb the further expansion of the Kumo ninja's power during the 5-cage tournament. The 4th Raikage's backbiting made Shiraishi extremely disgusted with the Kumo ninja forces, so he did not forget to disgust the Kumo ninja during this period. But at this time, outside Konoha village, the Suna ninja messenger attending the funeral of Namake's Minato, Uzumaki Tomoki, who had bright red hair and wore the Suna ninja forehead protector symbol, slowly stepped forward. I'm Uzumaki Tomoki, a disciple of the 5th Kazekage Sama, specially come to pay homage to the 4th Hokage on behalf of Sunagakure, the Uzumaki clan. When did they become members of Sunagakure village? And he also became a disciple of Aoki Beishi, the pure chakra perception unique to the Uzumaki clan in Uzumaki Tomoki caught Konoha by surprise. Chapter 235, Whirlpool 1 Clan. Since Uzumaki Kushina was picked up by Konoha as the next candidate for the Ninetale Jinchuriki, Konoha has been indifferent to the Uzumaki clan and the country of Uzumaki and even allowed them to fall into war and destruction. This undoubtedly represents Konoha's fear of this clan and the country of Uzumaki. Therefore, when Uzumaki Tomoki appeared in Konoha village on behalf of Suna Ninja, the entire Konoha senior management was a little embarrassed and passive. As for the orphan of the Uzumaki clan, he had already seen through Konoha's face, and Uzumaki Tomoki did not show any expression. He very indifferently worshipped the memorial tablet represented by the fourth Hokage and Uzumaki Kushina. No matter what, Uzumaki Kushina is also a member of the Uzumaki clan, and Tomoki is very sorry to encounter such misfortune. After all, there are not many clansmen left in the world, and if one is missing, one will be lost. As the leader of the contemporary Uzumaki clan, he will naturally feel regretful. Although Uzumaki Tomoki has no apparent identity, his temperament and the identity of the two old Uzumaki orphans have already convinced the third Hokage and Danzo that this is not an ordinary Uzumaki clan orphan, but the direct successor of the contemporary Uzumaki clan. The rain fell down at some point and fell on Uzumaki Tomoki's shoulder. Under his handsome face, Uzumaki Tomoki placed the flower in his hand very heavily on the memorial monument. HMPH. When did the Uzumaki clan take refuge in the Suna Ninja? Danzo said coldly with a sinister look on his face, and the atmosphere at the scene became extremely awkward for a while, but Uzumaki Tomoki's expression remained unchanged. After all the worship ceremonies were over, he slowly turned around and looked at Konoha's intelligence leader. The fall of the Uzumaki country was due to the wars in various countries, especially the chaotic situation of the Ninja World War. The Uzumaki ninja village in the Uzumaki country, as an alliance with the Leaf village, suffered successive attacks from Shirogakure and Kumogakure and perished. During this process, there were many attacks by unknown forces, but Konoha did not provide any form of support from beginning to end. The isolated and helpless country of Uzumaki was destroyed, and the Uzumaki ninja village was also destroyed. Since the establishment of the village of Konoha, the Senju clan has always hoped that the Uzumaki clan would directly join Konoha, rather than appearing as an ally, which is why there will be tragedies in the country of Uzumaki in the future. Uzumaki Tomoki has long since matured, and has long been aware of Konoha's hypocrisy. So his words are never ambiguous. The kingdom of Uzumaki encountered a catastrophe, and the remaining Uzumaki clan wandered around various countries. In the end, they were taken in and protected by the Fifth Kazekage. In gratitude for this favor, we, the Uzumaki clan, chose to join Sunagakure. It's just to fulfill his Kazekage's ambition. Besides, when will you, a brat, be able to represent the Uzumaki clan? Faced with Danzo's nonsense, Uzumaki Tomoki narrowed his eyes. Whether I can represent the Uzumaki clan or not does not need to be decided by the people of Konoha. After repeated provocations, Uzumaki Tomoki's attitude became colder, and the atmosphere between the two parties became very strange for a while. When the third Hokage saw the situation getting more and more out of his control, he knew that he could never continue to let Danzo toss around him. The kingdom of Kola is now under the control of the Suna Ninja, and 16 combat brigades are on standby at any time. They can drive directly into the hinterland of Konoha. Facing the threat of the Suna Ninja, Konoha is now in danger, so the third Hokage quickly coughed. Danzo, shut up, Hiruzen. You, Danzo, was very dissatisfied with the policies of the third Hokage. He didn't understand why Hiruzen Sarutobi was still giving in. The Uzumaki clan appears here. Maybe they have certain intentions towards the Ninetales. It is not appropriate to let them directly enter Konoha. Danzo, who was holding a cane, locked his eyes directly on Uzumaki Tomoki, but saw that the latter's eyes showed no fear. When the two sides looked at each other, the smell of gunpowder in the scene became stronger and stronger. The majestic chakra spreads from Uzumaki Tomoki. The terrifying life constitution of the Uzumaki clan, combined with Shiraishi's unique training rules, makes Uzumaki Tomoki's strength rise sharply. I have no interest in Kyuubi, but I hope we can take care of the heirs of the Uzumaki family. Uzumaki Naruto is the new Ninetales Jinchuriki, so I'm sorry. The third Hokage directly interrupted Danzo and revealed the identity of the infant Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Tomoki was a little stunned for a moment. You sealed the Ninetales in a newborn child. It was the Watergate's choice. I respect her choice, but at the same time, I hope you can treat Kushina's children well. The Third Hokage looked at Uzumaki Tomoki across from him. Naruto is the most important force in Konoha in the future, and we will naturally take good care of him. Just as the two sides were engaged in a tense exchange, two cousins, Uchiha Shizu and Uchiha Kid, arrived one after another. For a time, the entire focus of the atmosphere was on the Uchiha clan point. On the night of the Kyuubi, the Uchiha clan received an order from Danzo to stand still, so they did not provide timely support. Eventually, the Hokage died in battle, and the entire village was seriously damaged. Many people are currently full of resentment towards Uchiha, so Uchiha Fugaku simply did not come forward to participate. The ceremony allowed Uchiha Shizu and Uchiha Kid to express condolences on behalf of the Uchiha clan point. This gesture naturally made many people look dissatisfied, and Uzumaki Tomoki took advantage of this moment to withdraw from the worship ceremony and prepare to return to the ambassador hall point. The moment Uchiha Kid and Uzumaki Tomoki passed each other, Uzumaki Tomoki keenly noticed something was wrong and focused his attention on the Uchiha Kid tribesman in front of him, but saw that the latter did not react at all, and Uchiha Shizu come to the memorial monument together. Third generation sir. Seeing Shizu's embarrassed look, the third Hokage waved his hand and didn't say anything more, but asked the two to present their flowers in the new Sunagakure village. Frontline battle report information began to be collected continuously. After several hours of fierce fighting in the country of Takumi, they finally succeeded in destroying the entire Takumi ninja village, and the remnants of the Shitakure were wiped out. Point successfully captured the Takumi country, but as the most important ally of the Takumi country, Shirogakure village in the water country never made any move, causing an uproar in the ninja world. Point the country of Takumi is Shirogakure's biggest barrier and ally. The entire island country is more than 10 times larger than the country of Kyushu. The island is rich in mineral resources and has a pleasant geographical climate. Such a strategic location was given directly to Sunagakure. The decline of the Kingdom of Water and Shirogakure was unexpected by the villagers. In addition, Konoha's weakness and concessions also made the situation on the ninja world continent more delicate. Point the envoy from the Iwa ninja village has already sent people to Konoha to discuss further strengthening the alliance between the two villages. At the same time, the Kumo ninja also sent a special envoy to Konoha. Point the three major ninja villages on the mainland joined forces and began to take shape silently. Point the power of Sunagakure has made the senior officials of each village restless, especially the potential for several wars, which is far greater than any other ninja village. On this basis, the alliance of the three major ninja villages is inevitable. Point even Kumogakure's previous plan to seize the Hyuga family's blood succession was temporarily suspended. Reading www.kanshu.net. Avoid irritating Konoha. Point at the same time, Uzumaki Tomoki, as the Sand Ninja envoy, was on his way back to the village, but he was surrounded by a large number of root members sent by Danzo. Uzumaki Tomoki, please return to Konoha once. What? If I say no, then I can only apologize. Facing the provocation from Danzo's deployment, Tomoki Uzumaki's expression remained unchanged. Huge energy magnetic field fluctuations suddenly occurred all over his body. In an instant, two energy shields surrounded Tomoki Uzumaki's hands. Your Lord Danzo is truly a hopeless idiot. As soon as he finished speaking, Uzumaki Tomoki's energy shields intertwined with each other, creating cyclonic fluctuations that spread quickly. Point chakra materialized energy shield. To be precise, this is a special escape technique in Shiraishi's skill card entrusted to Uzumaki Tomoki. Only members of the Uzumaki clan can use escape techniques that consume chakra luxuriously. Chapter 236, Born Early. Ninja Technique Reflective Shield. It is a special chakra substantial escape technique taught by Professor Shiraishi Uzumaki Tomoki. It is a special escape technique that allows the user to condense an energy shield on his hand and slow down the damage of physical attacks. On the other hand, the reflective shield can also be used as an attack method to launch a powerful impact offensive against the enemy point. Although the principle of this move is very simple in the skill card, there is a problem here. That is, the chakra energy is materialized, and it requires a ninja with a huge chakra foundation to perform it. Point. When Shiraishi guided Uzumaki Tomoki, he did not choose very complicated methods. Instead, He chose reflective shield and several other super type escape techniques from his own skill cards as Uzumaki Tomoki's offensive and defensive methods. Uzumaki Tomoki's mind power is developed very quickly. In the shadow clone training mode, the speed of training is twice the result with half the effort point surrounded by huge chakra double shields. Uzumaki Tomoki burst into the air with a bang, erupting with terrifying momentum and instantly attacked several root members. Under the strong air pressure, the faces of several root personnel became very scary. Capturing the Uzumaki clan was an order from Danzo. At the beginning of the mission, these root members did not take a brat seriously, but now that Uzumaki Tomoki has shown combat destructive power, they have to treat it with caution. Uzumaki Tomoki's explosive power is very strong. At the same time as he arrived, the energy shield once again underwent a substantial transformation of chakra. With the cooperation of telekinesis, the energy shield turned into a sharp spiritual blade and struck. The weapon transformed from the heart blade is the spiritual blade, which is also another skill card Shiraishi taught to Uzumaki Tomoki. After his own spiritual power materialized, the sharp blade in Uzumaki Tomoki's hand released a burst of blood red light. In an instant, the mental blade in Uzumaki Tomoki's hand directly attacked a root member. The powerful heart blade passed directly through his body, and the root member fell directly after the knife in his body. Combining illusions with physical attacks, it is obvious that in addition to the slashing scars on the body, this sharp blade also has a powerful illusion effect, which can directly make the victim fall unconscious at this moment. Another root member quickly stepped forward and tried to control Uzumaki Tomoki. He used Earth Escape to strengthen his body, and then formed a powerful fist with both hands to attack Uzumaki Tomoki, but saw that the latter was not afraid. The powerful chakra light condensed on the head, and it hit him hard. Cone of Thought is the same type of super escape technique as Mental Blade and Reflection Shield. It concentrates the power of thoughts on the head for impact, which can sometimes make the opponent cower. He counterattacked like an iron head, forcibly repelling the incoming root personnel. Uzumaki Tomoki, who was very iron-headed, once again condensed the mental blades and the reflection shields on both sides of his hands into shape, and assumed a fighting posture. Although he only has 3 moves, Uzumaki Tomoki is completely a tank with a strong head, super strong defense, and first-rate battery life. He fights alone with a group of root members without any fatigue. The more he fights, the crazier and braver he becomes. 3 members of the root party were hit by his spiritual blade and fell into a deep sleep and coma. The remaining few were very frightened by his powerful lion head, and the scene fell into a very passive state for a while. Seeing that most of the elite members at the root were damaged, the leader was forced to order a retreat, but Uzumaki Tomoki never looked tired. Is this the Konoha way of doing things? Uzumaki Tomoki and the 2 Uzumaki elders were really disappointed with Konoha's duplicity just now. Although the tragedy of the Whirlpool country was not necessarily caused by Konoha, Konoha must have contributed to it, otherwise Danzo would not have acted so out of control. Danzo, you shouldn't have done this. At the Konoha high-level meeting, Sarutobi Hiruzen said a little tiredly that Danzo once again took action on his own initiative and sent people to attack the Uzumaki family. Now they were not caught, but left a lot of trouble. Danzo, who did not take the third Hokage seriously at all, showed no sign of regret. Hiruzen, I just ask you, when will Konoha prepare to start a full-scale war with Sunagakure? War on all fronts. Does this person have any brains when he talks? In order to fight for power and profit, do you completely ignore the actual situation of Konoha? Danzo's words made the third Hokage so angry that he almost fainted. This old guy really refused to give up. Now that the situation is so unfavorable to Konoha, he still wants to start a new round of ninja war with Sunagakure. Questioning myself like this in the meeting now is just to seek more benefits. But now that Konoha is in such difficulty, we really shouldn't fight for power like this. Sarutobi Hiruzen suppressed his irritation and explained. Danzo, joining forces with the Iwa ninja and the Kumo ninja are just to curb the expansion of Sunagakure. But now is not the time to start a war. Then, when is the time? Wait until the 5th Kazekage gets old? But I remember that he is younger than Minato. Danzo was also very sarcastic, and the meeting place was completely silent. At this time, Hokage advisor Mito Kadini coughed several times. Danzo, you think of the war too simply. Konoha's chances of winning against Sunagakure are not great now. Besides, have you forgotten the Uchiha clan? Danzo's face turned cold when he mentioned the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha clan in Konoha is getting more and more ready to make a move. If they start a war, Ashley, the Uchiha clan may have other thoughts. At least the Ninetales invasion has nothing to do with the Uchiha clan. It cannot be separated. Unable to start a war with the Sand Ninja immediately, Konoha had to choose other methods. So in November of Konoha 48, Tsuchika Jinoki, Reikijai, and Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen signed an offensive and defensive alliance at the junction of the three major countries' treaty points. Since then, the pattern of Konoha, Iwa Ninja, and Kumo Ninja fighting against Sand Ninja has been officially formed in the ninja continent. In the delivery room of Sunagakure, Maki entered the medical class with a pale face. His wife's delivery time was advanced. You read a book. www.youcanshu.net was something Shiraishi had not expected. Because of what happened in Konoha just now, Sunagakure attaches great importance to the safety of Maki. In addition to the protection around the regular and Bu personnel, Shiraishi controls his own magnetic escape to form a unique barrier field. However, Shiraishi was still worried. The mysterious masked man could completely ignore the barrier of Konoha. His time and space ninjutsu made Shiraishi taboo. Therefore, Shiraishi personally guarded her during the entire labor period. In fact, although Jounin went into labor early, the process was still smooth. With the baby crying, Jounin and Shiraishi's child was finally born. He is a boy, and he is very healthy in all aspects. Mother-in-law Chiyo came out holding a baby with the same black hair as Shiraishi. Looking at her and Maki's child, Shiraishi, who had rarely smiled since becoming the Kazekage, suddenly laughed. Seeing Shiraishi's appearance, Granny Chiyo handed the child to Shiraishi. Kazekage, have you decided on a name? Holding up his son, Shiraishi smiled brightly. I have already thought about it. Let's call this little guy Aoki Shijuru. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237, Monitoring by Six Immortals. The fifth Kazekage had a descendant, and it was a boy. This news made Ibizo and the first group of elders breathe a sigh of relief. No matter what, in the next 10 years or so, the surname Sunagakure Aoki is destined to become the most distinguished surname. This is a fact that no one can deny. As the Kazekage, Shiraishi has created so many secret techniques and forbidden techniques that he always needs someone to inherit them. Although Lord Kazekage has accepted the orphans of the Uzumaki clan as his disciples, Ibizo and others still hope that Shiraishi will have his own descendants. Having his own offspring has a completely different mentality than when he was alone in the past. With so many powerful ninjutsu created by Shiraishi, they will not be completely lost to the whirlpool or the orphans of the Sand Escape family. Although Ebizo and others welcome the Uzumaki clan to join Sunagakure, at the same time, they don't want the Uzumaki clan to get too close to Shiraishi. The Aoki family is actually just Shiraishi and his son. According to this reproduction rate, at best, it will not be a huge family in the future. Therefore, Ibizo and the others welcome the normal continuation of the Aoki family. Lord Kazekage gave birth to a son, and the whole village was very happy. The daimyo mansion immediately sent condolences, and various high-level officials in the village also sent certain gifts. Not only the Kingdom of Wind, but also the daimyo of other countries such as the Kingdom of Fire and the Kingdom of Earth also sent envoys to congratulate Shiraishi. Shijuru Aoki, this is a great name. The postpartum role was still a little weak, so Shiraishi motioned to his wife to continue resting, and placed the child next to her. You are willful enough, if you insist on resting with the little one, as a mother's natural instinct. Jounin really wanted to spend more time with her child. Seeing the mother and child sleeping peacefully, Shiraishi nodded and left the delivery room, returning to Kazekage's office to continue handling official duties. During the period when Namikaze Minato and his wife died in the battle, Sunagakure's strength and Konoha's concessions had quietly changed the structure of the shinobi world. Some small countries that were originally sandwiched between the two countries also sent people to congratulate Shiraishi on the birth of a son. Even Maki's child was born, but the child in Uzumaki Chikora's body didn't seem to be in labor yet. According to the time calculation, Uzumaki Chikori has been pregnant for more than 10 months, and it is reasonable to say that she should give birth. However, according to the report from the medical team, there are no signs of birth of the child in Uzumaki Chikori. On the contrary, Uzumaki Chikora's physical condition is getting worse and worse. The huge vitality brought by the pure Uzumaki clan mother body is the best nourishment for the child in the body, so the child is not in a hurry to be born from the body. This instinctive action of absorbing huge chakra and vitality indicates his extraordinary existence in the future. Historically, when a child of the Uzumaki clan is born, the fetus will overabsorb the mother's life essence, but this time the child in Chikora's body seems not to have eaten enough. Uzumaki Chikori now eats a certain amount of food every day, and at the same time takes various medicines, but the fetus in the body is still devouring everything it can absorb. The endless devouring made Uzumaki Chijo's body become more and more haggard day by day. Uzumaki Tamuki was worried. At the same time, he also tried to have the child born early, but was stopped by Uzumaki Chijo. Such an extraordinary talent represents this child's unlimited potential in the future. In order to restore the glory of the Uzumaki clan, I must complete my mission, and like Uzumaki Tomoki, Uzumaki Chikori has always had the idea of reviving the Uzumaki family. Therefore, when she felt the child in her belly endlessly swallowing and sucking, she wanted to ensure that the child could be born smoothly. However, as the child in Uzumaki Chikori grew day by day, Shiraishi instinctively felt an abnormal fluctuation around the new sand hidden village. A lot of unstable chakra energy has precipitated. This energy is usually nothing, but after several days of observation by Shiraishi, he unexpectedly found that the speed of precipitation is increasing. After searching for a long time, Shiraishi's expression changed slightly. Although chakra is energy, it also contains a certain spiritual will. However, this will seems to be preventing the birth of the child in Uzumaki Chikori. The origin of chakra is the sacred tree that was the founding thing of heaven and earth. It is revered as a sacred pillar by humans, and is worshipped by humans. The sacred tree has never been involved in any human war. The sacred tree is the source of all chakra. The chakra of all ninjas in the ninja world comes from the sacred tree. Suddenly one day, the sacred tree actually bore holy fruit. Holy fruit would only bear fruit once in 1,000 years. However, the ancestors of human beings have left their ancestral precepts for generations, and they must not get involved in the holy fruit. Due to the endless wars between humans, a princess was eager to win, and actually ate the holy fruit. Her name is Otsutsuki Kaguya. It is said that the princess later obtained the power of God, and quelled the war by herself. This princess is the first human to possess chakra. Her son was born with chakra, and was the second person to possess chakra. However, in order to regain the chakra, the sacred tree that was deprived of the holy fruit changed into the appearance of the Ten Tails, and began to go on a rampage. This is the Ten Tails. Otsutsuki Kaguya's son successfully stopped the Ten Tails. His name was Otsutsuki Hagoromo. He clarified the truth of chakra, founded the ninja sect, and was the ancestor of the ninja. He also has a name called Sage of Six Paths. This history is somewhat different from what Ashura told Shiraishi, but one thing Shiraishi is sure of is that, since Ashura was able to split a part of his chakra to observe the earth, those powerful beings in ancient times may have had similar situations. Even the Sage of Six Paths himself left a certain amount of chakra will to monitor the land. Although the child in Uzumaki Chikora's body is still growing, it has already caused chakra energy reactions and rejections in this world. Reading www.ukanshu.net. This incompatible existence just proves the correctness of Shiraishi's experiment. The amount of precipitated chakra is increasing, and most of the material is mainly composed of thunder attributes. It is feared that there may be some bad weather on the day Uzumaki Chikori gives birth to her child. Sunagakure has not had a thunderstorm in such a long time. In order for Uzumaki Chikora's child to be born, is he going to have to play a trick of thunder and tribulation? On the other hand, Shiraishi is also sure of one thing. The Six Paths Sage or other ancient sages may continue to stay on this land in a special form. To regulate the changes in the ninja world. The Sage of Six Paths uses his own will as the rule maker of this world. According to the information obtained by Yamato in the future, the purpose of the Akatsuki organization is to resurrect the Ten Tails. Then who will the Sage of Six Paths designate to become the new generation of Ashura and Indra? Looking at the increasingly lower air pressure and airflow fluctuations outside the window, Shiraishi said with ridicule, "I don't think an antique from thousands of years ago is qualified to continue to judge the events of this era. I will definitely protect Chikori Uzumaki's child from being born." Chapter 238, Invitation from Landi Cave. Since the birth of mankind, wars have never stopped, and we have entered a period of war. The ground was stained with blood, as if all the blood was being absorbed. The sacred tree was not involved in the disputes, but was always worshipped as a sacred pillar. But one day, the sacred tree bore a fruit. Although people did not understand the meaning, no one dared to violate the ancestral precepts and get involved in the fruit of the sacred tree. The Otsutsuki clan comes from a distant alien planet. As the princess of the clan, Kaguya was born with white eyes. She obtained chakra by swallowing the fruit of the sacred tree and quelled the war. After the war, Kaguya gave birth to twins, Hagoromo and Hamura. The two children were born with chakra. Gradually, Kaguya believed that chakra could only be owned by herself. She used the Samsara Sharingan to unleash the infinite moon reading on humans, causing people to fear and awe her. The honorific title of the goddess of Uzumaki was unknown since then, and she became a demon. Her desire for chakra eventually directed towards her two children. In order to regain all the chakra, Kaguya merged with the sacred tree and transformed into the Ten Tails to fight with her own child. In the end, Hagoromo and Hamura activated the Six Paths Earth Blast Star to create the moon and seal the Ten Tails within it. Ashura, as the son of Otsutsuki Hagoromo, is naturally very aware of this history. Before the Koe no Kuni forest disappeared, he told Shiraishi the inside story of this period, which is completely different from the current history of the ninja world. Unfortunately, Ashura's knowledge is limited. For example, the true origin of Otsutsuki Kaguya and the abnormality of the child in Uzumaki Chikori's belly means that the Sage of Six Paths is afraid of the child's potential and will become the second Kaguya. If you were Ashura, would you also be afraid of this child? No matter what, Chiho Uzumaki and her child are innocent, and even if they are the source of the ninja sect, they cannot interfere with Sunagakure's affairs. The Otsutsuki clan has dominated the history of the ninja world for almost 1,000 years, as if this continent is their toy, constantly controlling changes. Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama are the reincarnations of chakra, and they are also playing with them. As an external force, the skill system was rejected from the beginning and turned into countless skill cards scattered all over the world. It even had to be turned into local chakra power to be preserved. Later, after meeting Ashura and receiving the ninja sect inheritance, Shiraishi was able to be recognized by certain rules in this world. But as the child inside Uzumaki Chikori continues to grow, one day it will be revealed. After calming down the troubled times, he controlled the world with one person's power, but soon he began to become arrogant because of his power. This principle applies to Princess Kaguya, and the same goes to the Sage of Six Paths. As soon as Shiraishi finished speaking, a huge rainstorm suddenly appeared in the entire sky, and violent chaotic airflow condensed in the sky. A kind of rioting force vaguely emerged, and for a while, the new sand hidden in the village seemed to be suffering from a natural disaster amidst the pouring rain, lightning and thunder. Uzumaki Chikori, who was recuperating in the medical class, turned pale and half knelt down. The entire Sunagakure medical team was in chaos. Suddenly, a huge electric current fell from a high altitude and landed directly on the roof. Amidst the terrifying roar, Chiho Uzumaki fell into a coma. Although she was not about to give birth, the thunder seemed to be a silent warning. Facing the wind and rain in the village, Beishi's expression did not change, and at this time, a cold voice sounded from behind Beishi. "You seem to be confused about the sudden strange weather." Orochimaru, disguised as a sound ninja Murakami, stuck out his tongue and spoke slowly, sometimes fast and sometimes slowly, giving people an incomprehensible feeling. "Orochimaru senpai, Bei. She looked at the heavy rain and said in a surprisingly calm tone, "Do you believe that the immortal of six paths may still exist in this world in some way?" Looking at Shiraishi's current appearance, for some reason Orochimaru rarely showed a kind look. "If I don't believe it, wouldn't it deny the art of immortality that I pursue? Then, do you believe that the chakra in this world will start to specifically target and try to obliterate the birth of a person? Although it is very weak, I can feel the murderous intention in it." Sounds like a ridiculous story. Is it ridiculous? Beishi didn't look back and gently stretched out his hand to feel the impact of the rainstorm. Even for a being like himself, the Six Paths Sage's chakra will did not make any move. On the contrary, he almost looked like a formidable enemy to the child in Uzumaki Chikura's belly, which in turn inspired Shiraishi to have a stronger fighting spirit. As the person whose thinking mode is closest to that of Shiraishi in the world, Orochimaru said about this problem, about this matter, "I think maybe it is the only one that can answer your questions." Who? Mentioning this existence, Orochimaru stuck out his tongue. "The White Snake Sage of Raichi Cave." White Snake immortal. Seeing Shiraishi's gaze, Orochimaru slowly explained to him the identity of the White Snake Sage and the Raichi Cave behind it. In fact, the natural energy contained in the pure curse Ceylon Beishi also comes from the lineage of Raichi Cave. The White Snake Sage lives in the legendary Raichi Cave, which is a holy land as famous as Mount Myoki and Shikotsu. In the original history, it would take Orochimaru several years to discover Raichi Cave, but due to the so-called butterfly effect, Orochimaru now meet the White Snake Immortal in advance. It's just that Orochimaru is currently unable to practice the sage mode of Raichi Cave, but the White Snake Sage in Raichi Cave has lived no shorter than the Six Paths Sage, and he is the only one Orochimaru thought of who could help Shiraishi. Raichi Cave is one of the three most mysterious holy places in the ninja world. Its ancestor, White Snake Sennin, is also the first original creature or god on this continent. Compared to the outsiders, the Otsutsuki clan, UU reading www.ukanshu.net, they have been guarding this planet earlier. However, after the rise of the ninja sect of the Six Paths Sage, he lived in seclusion behind the scenes of this continent. The three holy places all have their own judgments and views on the future. Among them, the Myoboku mountain lineage is the most active. They use the Child of Destiny as an inducement to push Jiraiya to walk in the ninja world, to find the elusive person. To put it bluntly, it is to prepare for the future invasion of the Otsutsuki clan, including Kaguya, and to cultivate more talents in the ninja world. The position of the Shijibone forest is unknown, and Ryuji Cave originally did not want to stir up this muddy water. However, after the rise of Sunagakure, the 5th generation Kazekage became the subject of great attention from the White Snake Sage. The time of Orochimaru's visit to Ryuji Cave was also advanced because of Shiraishi. As a great supernatural power of the same era as the immortal of Mount Myoboku, Shiraishi Sage also had his own judgment about the future, so Orochimaru invited Shiraishi to Ryuji Cave. I understand. Then prepare to go to Langdi Cave now. P.S. Dragon skill cards are finally no longer dusted. Chapter 239, Cultivation in Immortal Mode. The Dark Langdi Cave is filled with a strong scarlet aura of death. If ordinary people come into contact with this strange red poisonous mist outside, they will be poisoned, and die in an instant. At this time, the mist seemed to change and became more solid. Within a few seconds, they formed into pieces of clear snowflakes of different shapes, dark red in color, slowly falling, beautiful and dreamy. The red snow covered the ground, making a slight sound, and quickly melted into water, leaving distinct traces everywhere. Shiraishi and Orochimaru walked on the road to Raichi Cave without any changes to what they saw along the way. The way to go to Ryuji Cave is to sign the scroll of Ryuji Cave, and then perform reverse channeling to arrive. The person doing the channeling was a special purple snake. Under its leadership, Shiraishi and Orochimaru stepped into Ryuji Cave. Both of them have been famous in the ninja world for many years, so naturally they will not be afraid of the weird ice and snow poisonous gas outside Ryuji Cave. However, as he went deeper and deeper into Ryuji Cave, Shiraishi felt more and more an indescribable depressing atmosphere. It was as if a pair of eyes in the darkness were watching the arrival of himself and Orochimaru. I have always thought that these holy places were isolated from the rest of the world, and now it seems that it is more than that. Orochimaru chuckled. If they had no desires, then they wouldn't sign a psychic contract with us humans. The relationship between the ninja lineage and the three holy places has not been recorded in detail in history. Although there does not seem to be much conflict, it is by no means as harmonious as it appears on the surface. Perhaps the chakra power system is an external force to the three holy places, and does not belong to this land. But for Shiraishi, there is another more important thing when going to Raichi Cave, which is how to use natural energy to master high level immortal arts in my own skill card system. Dragon skills require mastery of fairy skills before they can be practiced, which is a bit higher than the fairy skills with natural energy. Since dragon skills are defined as magical beings that can only be controlled, there must be something outstanding about them. Ryuji Cave is not a simple underground cave. It goes hundreds of meters underground without reaching the bottom. It seems like a giant underground palace. Various types of psychic snakes appear constantly. However, when they feel the aura of Shiraishi and Orochimaru, after that, he quickly retreated to avoid it. Ancestor, the two guests have arrived. In the endless darkness, a huge throne is located in the deepest part of the underground. A huge white snake that looks like a comatose person is taking a nap. Kindness, slowly opening his eyes, White Snake Sage looked at the two humans in front of him and suddenly said, Orochimaru, you can leave. White Snake Sage's words were full of coercion. Orochimaru didn't say anything when he saw this. He directly performed the magic seal and left the Raichi Cave. The purple snake that showed the way before also disappeared into the White Snake Immortal's palace. The White Snake Immortal was silent for a long time and finally said, it really confirms my guess that you, like Kaguya, are not from this planet. Not from this planet. For a moment, Shiraishi found it difficult to accept White Snake Sage's statement. He was originally a native born in this ninja continent. When did he become an outsider? You have some kind of strange power, and the fact that it comes to you is proof. It is no coincidence that only Shiraishi can use the glasses system and skill cards in this ninja world. Skill cards exist in the form of cards. Currently, no one in the ninja world can see through their secrets. Why is Shiraishi the only one special? Beishi has always had doubts about this matter, and the words of the White Snake Immortal confirmed his suspicion. So, where am I from? I don't know either, but it's enough to know that you are not from the Otsutsuki clan. White Snake Sage spoke very slowly, but every word made Shiraishi's eyelids jump. Exhaling a puff of smoke, White Snake Sage said quietly, although he is not from the Otsutsuki clan, he is contaminated with some of the Azura Boy's chakra. One person and one snake were silent to each other in the main hall. After a while, the White Snake Sage finally spoke again. Since Myomu Mountain has put the chips on Konoha and determined that they will be needed to fight against the Otsutsuki clan's attack again in the future, then I will put the chips on you. On the body, the Otsutsuki clan attacks again. Shiraishi clearly captured the key information in White Snake Sage's words. You mean Kaguya is not the only one in the Otsutsuki clan? When it came to the future, White Snake Sage shook his head. Yes, these are things that the ninja world must face in the future. Not to mention the feeling in you makes me think that you are very suitable for practicing the celestial arts of Raichi Cave. The so-called magic is actually a state in which natural energy can be used. In this state, natural energy can be used to greatly increase physical activity, to increase agility and defense. At the same time, natural energy can be used to increase physical attack range and perception. Using natural energy to create Zenjutsu chakra can greatly enhance the power of one's own ninjutsu, taijutsu, and illusions during Kaguya's era. Gamamaru from Mount Mayaboku taught Hagoromo Senjutsu. Hagoromo used the power of Senjutsu to fight Kaguya for several months, and finally won, and sealed his mother. Compared with the Myomu Mountain model, Raichi Cave's immortal arts practice mode is the most dangerous. Therefore, no one who has mastered Raichi Cave's immortal arts has yet appeared. However, Shiraishi did not hesitate, and directly followed the instructions of White Snake Immortal to enter meditation practice. The basis of practicing immortality is to strengthen one's ability to sense the power of nature. However, if there is too much natural energy, it will cause a backlash against oneself. After the White Snake Immortal finished explaining the most basics of sensing natural energy, he saw Shiraishi taking off his shirt, revealing his strong body. At the same time, countless huge chakra red dot mark runes appeared all over his body. This is, as countless red dot runes and chakra points in the body began to interact with each other, Shiraishi's body underwent certain changes. This is a secret acupuncture technique of the human body created by me. Reading www.ukanshu.net can strengthen one's own body against external energy induction. The acupuncture technique comes from the skill card in the glasses system, which improves part of one's abilities by stimulating acupuncture points. However, Shiraishi's main purpose of practicing this technique is to prepare for practicing immortal arts. Although he knew that immortal technique was about sensing natural energy, how to sense it required someone's guidance. After the White Snake Immortal explained the secret, Shiraishi started his own acupuncture technique to sense natural energy. This guy is a bit interesting. Looking at the 5th Kazekage sitting cross-legged, White Snake Immortal squinted his eyes and thought about something. Perhaps this human being was not as easy to control as he had expected. As an immortal from the 3 Holy Lands, Immortal White Snake, like Immortal Toad, has a certain ability to predict the future. In fact, he had not told Beishi much before, and even pointed out that Beishi himself did not know his origin. It has nothing but one thing in mind, and that is the pursuit of the real dragon. P.S. Earth dragons are also snakes. They have always wanted to become a real celestial dragon that flies in the sky. Chapter 240. The ambition of the White Snake Immortal. The dragon in the classical records of the ninja world is, as long as a scale insect. It can be dark or bright, thin or giant, short or long. It ascends to the sky at the spring equinox and dives into the abyss at the autumnal equinox point. Although dragons have become legendary creatures, the pursuit of dragons by humans on this continent has not changed. There are a large number of escape techniques named after dragons, which is enough to show their pursuit of dragons. The White Snake Immortal has been pursuing the method of transforming into a dragon throughout his life. It can be seen that dragons are so attractive to him, and the status of the dragon escape technique in the Beishi skill system is also a very special existence. Once he succeeds in his cultivation, it means that he hopes to transform into a dragon himself, and he can give him the Dragon Ball, and then activate the technique of seizing the body at the moment. When he succeeds in his cultivation of immortality. Orochimaru can use the white phosphorus or a chi to reincarnate humans, and White Snake Sennin can do the same, but in the past 1000 years, White Snake Sennin has not had a human being worth the cost to seize the body. At the same time, under the stimulation of the power of acupuncture all over the sky, Shiraishi's perception of the surrounding natural energy is greatly improved, but how to control this natural force and become his own magic is the most difficult step. The Sage model of Sage of the Six Paths is mainly derived from the lineage of Mount Myaboku, and then the ninja sect he founded. The connection between the two makes it easier for traditional ninjas to practice Mount Myaboku's celestial arts. But you are different. There was a hint of coldness in the eyes of Immortal White Snake. Although his tone was slow, there was a smile in his words. The power hidden in your body is suitable for the use of Langdi Cave Immortal technique to assist. Richids. Celestial magic modes are mainly divided into 3 categories. The first one is the snake-turned-sage mode adopted by Yakushi Kabuto in the original work. In this mode, one needs to allow one's body to withstand the wild power of nature. Under normal circumstances, it is mostly some practitioners cannot bear this kind of pain. Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, has practiced snake ninjutsu, which makes him extremely suitable for this type of mode. Unfortunately, Orochimaru is currently using the reincarnation technique for the first time, and there is something wrong with his body, so he is temporarily unable to practice this type of sage mode. The second sage mode starts with memory, and requires strong enough mental power and willpower. The first ninja in history to successfully cultivate this type of sage mode was Mitsuki in the future Boruto. The risks of this type of practice model are also huge. In the original novel, Orochimaru modified and erased Mitsuki's memory 4 or 5 times before finally completing this type of sage mode. Otherwise Mitsuki would have gone crazy. The Third sage mode is a sage mode that integrates the physical body and the spirit at the same time. I call it the complete version of the sage mode of Landi Cave. To be precise, the first two sage modes were converted from the third original Ryuchid sage mode. Thousands of years ago, Mount Myoki took the lead in planning Kaguya's case, causing most ninjas in modern society to be incompatible with the Ryujid sage mode point as an anomaly in today's ninja world. Shiraishi contains a powerful dragon power in his body. It is precisely because he feels this dragon power that the White Snake Senshi will guide Shiraishi to practice celestial arts, and then let him find out the secret of dragon transformation point. At this time, the White Snake Immortal from Landi Cave took out a strange red blood bead. By the way, if you want to better perceive the power of nature and master the magic of immortality, this dragon bead may be able to help you. It has to be said that the White Snake Immortal took too much care of Shiraishi and even took out the dragon balls from his body to help Shiraishi. This enthusiasm made Shiraishi more and more skeptical. This White Snake Immortal is too enthusiastic and always a little abnormal. But Beishi didn't refuse. The moment he held the dragon ball, his eyes seemed to turn into a bloody world, which was very weird. In the sea of blood that filled the sky, countless blood snakes emerged from the sea and pounced directly on the direction of Beishi. Facing the blood snakes and the sea of blood, Beishi slowly sat down, and his whole body glowed with light, blocking the invasion of these strange blood snakes. Seeing that, Shiraishi was able to peacefully enter samadhi and continue practicing after his first contact with the dragon beads. The eyes of the White Snake Immortal revealed a fiery light. Sure enough, this human being is his hope of transforming into a dragon. When he successfully practices the most complete Dragon Earth Cave Immortal technique mode, the Dragon Ball will quickly release the counter-attack force of nature, allowing him to become his new body point. Although he was addicted to sensing the power of nature, Beishi, who mastered the 5 symbols of heavenly curse, did not block external perception. Beishi had already noticed the greed of the White Snake Immortal for his own body. In fact, before entering the Ryuchi cave, Orochimaru had hinted at the purpose of the White Snake Sento to himself many times. Now through the Dragon Ball incident, Shiraishi has also determined the sinister intentions of the White Snake Sento. However, this old snake's attack method to deal with him is nothing more than to use the natural power in the Dragon Ball to go berserk, form a huge mental illusion attack, and erase his consciousness. Now that he knew what the other party wanted, Shiraishi didn't have any fear, but he was still very curious in his heart as to why Orochimaru would choose to help him. On the way forward, only one person is lonely, and I'm not alone. Above Shinzaguo, Orochimaru was wearing a ring marked as the Akatsuki organization. Although there was a hint of coldness in his tone, his eyes were very clear for Orochimaru. The reason why he did not practice the sage mode of Ryuchi Cave was because he judged that the White Snake Sage of Ryuchi Cave did not inform him of the secret technique he had mastered, but instead gave himself a very dangerous and incomplete practice mode. What Orochimaru needs is a complete inheritance of Ryuchi Immortal technique. And White Snake Sento's strong interest in Shiraishi becomes the basis for this cooperation between Orochimaru and Shiraishi. At this time, a cold voice appeared behind Orochimaru. Orochimaru, what did you do just now? Seeing Scorpion's impatient look, Orochimaru chuckled. Scorpion, you are still the same. You have no patience at all. After being invited by the Akatsuki organization, Orochimaru went to the appointment and discovered Pain's reincarnation eye. Reading www.ukanshu.net prepared to steal Pain's reincarnation eye after a period of deception, but was defeated by Pain's 6 paths that suddenly appeared. When he knew that he had a lot of research materials, he agreed to collect them and joined Akatsuki and teamed up with Scorpion. At present, the Akatsuki organization's operations are relatively low-key, and the two of them are only working on collecting some intelligence. Faced with Orochimaru's ridicule, Scorpion didn't say anything. Let's go and prepare for the next mission. In the Landi Cave, a huge red vortex surrounded Beishi's body. The White Snake Immortal stared at Beishi in the center of the power of nature, his eyes becoming more and more fanatical. Being able to withstand such severe physical pain and mental torture, the White Snake Immortal couldn't help but smile triumphantly. His judgment was indeed correct. This human being was his most ideal candidate to seize the body point. As for whether he will fail, it has never been within the scope of Whitesnake Immortal's consideration. No matter how strong he is only a mere human being who can withstand his terrifying mental offensive point deep in the sea of blood. Shiraishi holds the Raichi Cave Dragon Ball in his hand, and special dragon seals gradually appear in his eyes, which are very similar to the dragon pattern on his dragon skill card. During the entire training process, Shiraishi himself is rapidly transforming. Chapter 241. Can you practice well? Seeing Shiraishi getting closer and closer to his ideal state, he slowly opened his eyes and put on his upper body clothes. Hey, you don't want to continue practicing, White? Snake Immortal was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, when he was about to succeed, Beishi unexpectedly gave up. He put on his clothes and seemed ready to leave. I stayed in Ryuji Cave for 12 hours. If I don't go back, there will be chaos inside Sunagakure. Although there was a puppet clone arranged by himself in the Kazekage office to temporarily handle government affairs, it could not last long, so Shiraishi had to go back. Even though he regretted the power of the Dragon Balls, seeing the constipated expression of Immortal Whitesnake, Beishi returned the Dragon Ball in his hand. The practice of immortality cannot be separated from the help of this Dragon Ball. I will continue to return to Longdi Cave at the same time tomorrow. At present, Shiraishi has signed a contract with Raichi Cave's psychic beast, and he can also summon the psychic snake in Raichi Cave. Similarly, Raichi Cave can also directly use reverse spiritualism to summon Shiraishi. Whitesnake Sage wanted to say something, but considering that this man was indeed the leader of the 5 great ninja villages and had a lot of busy government affairs around him, Whitesnake Sage had to give up temporarily. Since he needed the dragon beads for practice, he couldn't leave the dragon cave, so the Whitesnake Immortal had enough patience to wait. Of course, Whitesnake Sage also tried to take action directly, but after all, the man in front of him is currently the strongest being in the ninja world. It is unrealistic to suppress him directly with force. Moreover, he possesses various secret skills. If everything happens to him, he will be destroyed. Then Whitesnake Sage plans to. It was all in vain. Those things of yours are just mundane matters. Leave them to your subordinates as soon as possible. That's still going to take a while. After a few simple chats, Beishi disappeared in front of the Whitesnake Immortal with a bang. The practice of immortality should not be done too hastily. Although the dragon beads in Raichi Cave can help one practice twice the result with half the effort, the foundation is unstable, so Shiraishi does not want to break through and master the immortal mode too quickly. However, when Shiraishi returned to his home, he saw Zyaoju's reaction with a horse grin. It was obvious that the aura of Ryuji Cave on Shiraishi made Fat Orange show great hostility. The hair on his body stood up, and he looked like he was attacking with a claw. Shiraishi was not afraid of the orange cat's explosive mode at all. He directly grabbed the fat cat and adjusted his chakra at the same time. Suddenly, the natural power of Raichi Cave dissipated invisible. Hey, Zyaoju, you seem to hate Raichi Cave. Of course I hate it. This poisonous snake bit me on the but thousands of years ago. The orange cat from thousands of years ago was not the greedy person it is now, eating all day long and waiting to die. At that time, it was also one of the first awakened natural creatures on the planet, and it belonged to the same era as the Whitesnake Immortal at that time. Later it became useless. Other people's ethnic groups have become the 3 Holy Lands, and he is still an ordinary house cat with nothing special about him. Even his instincts and abilities have been almost forgotten by this fat cat. It's almost like a useless cat. Then, how much do you know about magic and the power of nature? Seeing the unconvinced look on the orange cat's face, Shiraishi asked directly, but saw the cat scratching its head and reacting in confusion. Immortal magic, isn't that what you eat? Well, the fat cat that can survive to this day by devouring the power of nature and getting younger as it lives is more powerful than the snake in Longdi Cave. The hidden dangers of the practice in Longdi Cave are very clear to Beishi. As an immortal from the 3 holy places, the power possessed by the Whitesnake Immortal is also extremely terrifying, and he is not sure how to deal with it. Beishi has basically guessed what the purpose of Immortal Whitesnake is, but the practice in Longdi Cave has indeed been of great help to him. and the two parties are indeed using each other at this stage point, but this old snake really hopes that he can cultivate into the fairy mode. So he has to make good use of this opportunity and get more useful things after all. An old snake who has lived for thousands of years must have mastered countless secrets and secrets of the ninja world. Uzumaki Chikura's child is still some time away from giving birth, so he must quickly master the secrets of Senjutsu. At noon the next day, at the same time, Shiraishi used psychic skills to come to Ryuji Cave and came to the White Snake Immortal. Again. Seeing the waiting eyes of Immortal White Snake, Beishi showed a smile. Immortal, are you waiting for me? Yes. You are the most qualified human being I have seen in thousands of years. Naturally, I'm looking forward to you very much. The two great legends in the ninja world, Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, very poor in qualifications. Mentioning these two people, White Snake Sage was stunned for a moment. I'm not familiar with them, but according to the description of the slug in the Shigao forest, Senju Hashirama was not as fast as you in practicing immortality at the beginning. As for Uchiha, the blood in their bodies is very repulsive to these things. Shiraishi caught one thing very sensitively. Sage, you said that Senju Hashirama practiced magic in Shigu forest. Since he is the reincarnation of Ashura and a direct lineage of the Six Paths Sage, I thought he would practice in Mount Mayaboku. However, considering that Tsunadeheim's psychic beast comes from the Shigao forest, I can't guess that Senju Hashirama's magic isn't practicing in the Shigu forest. This kid was interrupting again. reading www.ukanshu.net. Thinking of this White Snake Immortal, his eyes widened in displeasure, and he said angrily, don't think about such messy things, practice hard. Do you think I have a lot of time? You can accompany me all day long. You play. Shiraishi, who took off his shirt and sat down slowly, suddenly raised his head and asked, I wonder what the god of ninjutsu, Senju Hashirama, was like at his peak. His chakra capacity has surpassed that of a tailed beast. Speaking of Senju Hashirama's strength, White Snake Sage puffed out a puff of smoke and said calmly, this guy can instantly enter Sage mode, and he has extremely amazing resilience in Sage mode. Not only did the chakra of the first generation surpass the tailed beasts, but what was even more surprising was his recovery ability, which allowed him to heal all his injuries without forming seals. His body is also full of vitality, and people with Hashirama cells can also improve their healing abilities and prolong their lives. Now that we are done talking, can we practice? The White Snake Immortal once again spit out his Dragon Ball and placed it in front of Beishi. In an instant, surrounded by the majestic power of nature, Beishi closed his eyes again and fell into concentration. Several hours passed, and while White Snake Immortal was waiting anxiously, Shiraishi's body finally changed. Traces of dragon seals appeared in both eyes, and a special purple dragon energy appeared behind his back. This attitude was completely different from the traditional Ryuji Cave Immortal technique mode, causing the consciousness of the White Snake Immortal to expand rapidly. But after seeing the dragon energy dissipating from Beishi's body and the traces of the dragon seal being erased, he slowly opened his eyes. Shiraishi completely ignored White Snake Immortal's expression and put on his own clothes. Today, an envoy from the Fire Nation's daimyo visited, so I only have 4 hours to practice. The conscience of heaven and earth, Shiraishi didn't mean to appeal to the White Snake Immortal. It was really that he, the Kazekage, was very busy. Chapter 242. I will eat you now. In addition to the public representatives, there were 2 princes and highnesses in the team of envoys from the Kingdom of Fire daimyo. However, when they arrived at Sand Hidden Village and saw the palace of the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind, their 2 eyes stared straight at the palace gate. At a glance, outside the main palace of Damning Mansion, there is a mountain-like roof with white jade and gold glazed tiles, which directly wraps up the building. At the front, eaves and columns, 2 square columns are added to each room, forming a huge eye-shaped point among them. The throne of the daimyo is located in the middle of the Ming dynasty, with a masterpiece of a famous imperial pen hanging on it. There is a throne in the daimyo pavilion, and the back is divided into several rooms, where the daimyo has his office. There is also a small hall and a dining room, which are specially designed for the daimyo to rest. The overall layout is very elegant. This time, to entertain the Fire Nation envoys, they are allowed to enter the Nuan Pavilion. The Nuan Pavilion is divided into 2 rooms, north and south, front and back, separated by partitions. There is a Kang in the south room near the window, and 2 thrones in the east and west facing the west wall point. It has to be said that several young masters of the Fire Country were frightened by the magnificent daiming mansion in front of them. Wasn't it said that the Kazekage kidnapped the daimyo to intervene in the internal affairs of the Wind Country? Why does it seem that this is not the case now? Point as the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind. He put on special official uniforms and walked forward, sitting in the main hall of Nuange Point looking at the 2 quarrelsome nephews in front of him. The daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind yawned. I didn't expect you two to grow so big. As soon as the name of the Kingdom of Wind spoke, the 2 young masters bowed and knelt down. After a while, both sides sat down respectively. Among them, the second young master of the Kingdom of Fire showed envy. The Kingdom of Wind is indeed the most powerful country in the ninja world now. Even the shape of the palace, they are also grand. That is also Feng Ying's wish. Good food and drink are served, and all kinds of government affairs are currently approved by the daimyo before being promulgated. It is no different from the past. Staying in this magnificent palace makes the daimyo more happy and his mood is naturally much better. This time you visited Kazekage, is it mainly about the affairs of the Kingdom of Koa? Now that the Kingdom of Sichuan is fully occupied by the Kingdom of Wind, although it is not subjugated, it is no different from the state of subjugation. The Kingdom of Fire sends people here again, and I'm afraid they still want to maintain the status quo. Even the famous names of the Kingdom of Wind will not agree to this. As the eldest son of the Fire Country daimyo, the previously silent eldest son said, we just hope that Kazekage can retain the country of Kono no Koa. Mentioning this matter, the daimyo of the Kingdom of Wind picked up the folding fan and shook his head. Just this morning, the Kingdom of Sichuan was announced to be officially merged with the Kingdom of Wind, and at the same time, divided into administrative areas. Shiraishi would not give the country of Koa a chance to recover. He would directly dismember the country and merge it into the country of Wind. Perhaps this would be some kind of kindness to the country. At least most residents of Koa country would not object to this decree. Point perhaps they are also tired of the days when they were always caught between major powers as a buffer for competition. Point however, the eldest son of the daimyo still has a strong temper, so he reacted quite fiercely to this incident. I'm afraid the Fire Nation won't agree with this. Even if you don't agree with it, it won't change the current situation on the mainland. The Fire Nation's persistent stalking makes the Wind Nation's daimyo feel a little unhappy. It's no longer the strongest period of the Fire Nation, so why do you still want to maintain the posture of being a great nation in the past? No matter what, now the Fire Country and Konoha will not easily provoke Sunagakure and Wind Country. If you still don't recognize this fact, then go back to your own country as soon as possible. Point the meeting between the 2 sides soon broke up unhappily. After leaving the daiming's Nuan Pavilion in the Kingdom of Wind, the second young master hesitated. Brother, you shouldn't anger the daiming. HMPH. Then you can stay and enjoy this magnificent palace. Looking at his brother's retreating figure, the second young master continued to wander around the outer palace with a nonchalant expression, and marveled at it. Point information about the content of the meeting between the 2 parties was quickly sent back to Shiraishi and the Kazekage's office. Point since the Fire Country still doesn't give up, it will continue to exert a certain amount of pressure. Thinking of the battleships stationed at the port of the Craft Country, Shiraishi began to patrol in the direction of the Bear Country. Point as a barrier to the Fire Country. The Bear Country is more important than the Koa Country. Since Konoha does not intend to continue the negotiation, Sunagakure will continue to exert pressure to get Konoha to return to the negotiating table as soon as possible. Point after solving these trivial matters, Beishi happily continued to practice with the White Snake Immortal. Point a few weeks later, I am here again, Immortal White Snake. Every time White Snake Immortal heard Beishi's voice, he felt depressed and irritable. Point this human being is simply the most cunning human being he has ever seen. He is not in a hurry every time he practices a sage mode. On the contrary, he has a strong interest in various secrets of the ninja world and some unique ninjutsu point. In order to let him practice immortality in peace, Whitesnake Immortal also patiently told him what he knew. Point today, Shiraishi made another curious move. Whitesnake Immortal, remember you said that there are other human beings living and settling on the moon. Speaking of the Otsutsuki clan on the moon, Whitesnake Sage took a nap and said lazily, those are the descendants of Otsutsuki Hamura. After the Sage of Six Paths used the Earth Blast Star to seal the 10 tails in the moon in order to guard the outer demon statue of the outsider, the whole family of Hamura Otsutsuki, the younger brother of the Sage of Six Paths, moved to the moon, leaving only one branch on the earth, which is the current Hyuga clan. Point after Hamura's death, his descendants were divided into two groups because of their different understandings and interpretations of their ancestors' last words. Among them, the branch believes that the world created by the Six Paths Immortal has been in war for thousands of years, which is a failure and should be eliminated. Then he merged with many white eyes to become the reincarnated eye and wiped out all the clan members who advocated peace at that time. So, is that Insegan very powerful regarding the intelligence and information about the reincarnation eye? Whitesnake's Senin is not very clear. It should be very powerful. You can shoot www.ukashu.net. I don't know the specifics. After all, it is the blood inheritance ability that Otsutsuki Hamura cultivated after settling on the moon. The reincarnation eye, that's how it is. After getting what he wanted from the Whitesnake Immortal, Shiraishi once again used the power of the dragon beads to enter meditation practice. Point in fact, Shiraishi has already reached the state of breaking through the boundaries and completing his sage mode. However, the natural power in the Dragon Ball has not yet been completely transformed, so Shiraishi is not in a hurry to break through. Point the Whitesnake Immortal also felt a burst of heartache. So much power of his treasured phantom was wasted like this, and he took advantage of this kid in vain. If he hadn't taken his body in the future, how would the Whitesnake Immortal use his Dragon Ball for him to use? You must know that the natural power in this Dragon Ball can not only strengthen Shiraishi's refining of magical chakra, but also comprehensively strengthen his entire body, making him immune to all poisons. However, today, Beishi did not seem to end his meditation as time came. On the contrary, he continued to refine his magical chakra. In an instant, the airflow all over Beishi's body surged, and a thick purple beam illuminated his whole body. Point the dragon seals under his eyes showed that Shiraishi had successfully entered the immortal state, and that the most complete immortal mode in Longdi Cave had finally been successfully cultivated. Good boy, it's finally done. After Shiraishi's whole body was transformed into scales caused by chakra energy, the Whitesnake Sage finally took action. Point in an instant, in the world of Shiraishi's consciousness, the Dragon Ball suddenly turned black, and countless black viscous energy emerged from all directions, instantly polluting Shiraishi's entire consciousness. In the cold wind, the consciousness projection of the Whitesnake Immortal turned into a giant demon snake and slowly appeared in Beishi's world of consciousness. Immortal, what are you doing? I'm going to eat you right now. Chapter 243, Dragon Seal Immortal Mode. In Beishi's consciousness space, the huge dark consciousness transformed by Whitesnake Immortal is like a huge dark cloud, seeming to cover this conscious world. Point faced with such huge pressure, Shiraishi did not show any surprise. On the contrary, he smiled. Sage, are you so eager to do it? You don't even want to see what type of sage mode I have achieved. Boy, don't talk nonsense. Could it be that you have mastered the sage mode of Mount Myomu? I have to say that this old poisonous snake is really interesting. When he bit him with a greedy face, Shiraishi quickly began to avoid it, but the surrounding world began to distort and change. The size of the Whitesnake Immortal became larger and larger. He swallowed the venom in an attempt to completely destroy Shiraishi. Only consciousness remains. Orochimaru's reincarnation technique is slightly different from that of Whitesnake Senin. Currently, the prerequisite for Orochimaru's reincarnation technique is the strength of his mental power. The mental power of the caster must be stronger than that of the person being cast, otherwise he will be backlashed. Whitesnake Immortal's reincarnation technique is different. The Dragon Ball contained in it has strong cell corrosion and assimilation. The moment Shiraishi completes the immortal mode in practice, his own cells and marks can be spread all over Shiraishi's body. This reincarnation mode is similar to Orochimaru's cursed seal reincarnation method in the future. The difference is that Whitesnake Sennin does not have cloning technology, so he uses dragon beads to transform his body into a white stone body, so that the compatibility with himself is improved to a perfect level. After all, if the body and the soul are not compatible, it will become Orochimaru's incomplete mode of reincarnation, which will have great side effects, and will also test the mental strength of both parties. This is the high-end reincarnation method of the Whitesnake Immortal. Currently, Shiraishi's body and consciousness are highly attuned to his own. The little guy who currently has only this little consciousness space will dissipate invisible. Beishi's consciousness has not dissipated. On the contrary, he is still a little confused, so he looks at the Whitesnake Immortal. Immortal, why do you want to eat me? Looking at Beishi with a cold face, the Whitesnake Immortal's body became larger and larger, and his head turned into 8. You kid is too slow to practice immortal mode, which makes me a little angry. It has to be said that the physical appearance of the Whitesnake Immortal in the consciousness space is very terrifying. Each of the 8 heads contains chakra fluctuations of different attributes. At the same time, there is a certain relationship between them. If the heads are not killed in the correct order, it will not kill him at all. This old poisonous snake will not die. Facing the attack of the Whitesnake Immortal, Shiraishi's violent purple magical chakra flooded the entire spiritual world unbridled. Then an extremely cold flame burned on the Whitesnake Immortal's body, causing a certain amount of damage to it. The appearance of extremely cold flames frightened the Whitesnake Immortal. Until this moment, it suddenly realized a problem. It seemed that it had been trapped in a trap point. If the body and soul are completely synchronized, Shiraishi cannot use the extremely cold flame to suppress himself. The only explanation is that there is a rejection reaction between the two, and Shiraishi still controls this body. The dragon seal changed again. Under the purple light, while the dragon-shaped air current on Beishi's body was surrounding his body, a blow of the dragon claw was blasted from Beishi's hand, and suddenly fell down. Step by step towards the Whitesnake Sage in Yamato no Orochi mode. Shiraishi looked indifferently. Complete training in Ryuchidang Sage mode can indeed make my body and your soul have almost no repulsion, and then completely seize your body. Souls have varying degrees of rejection of containers. Historically, Orochimaru wanted to reincarnate directly from a woman's body into Sasuke's body, but there was not enough time, so Orochimaru had to abandon his woman's body and transfer to the body of the temporarily selected Genai Amaru. Because Genai Amaru's body had a greater ejection reaction with Orochimaru, Orochimaru's body has been very weak since then. On the contrary, the woman's body previously occupied by Orochimaru was carefully selected by him. She had a beautiful face and was not repelled by Orochimaru's soul. Therefore, Orochimaru has been able to use that body well and fully exert his original strength, and the body shape is more suitable for Orochimaru to fight, which is why Orochimaru is still reluctant to throw away this woman's body after losing his hands. Because Genai Amaru's body was temporarily selected, its quality was much worse than that woman's body. Therefore, after occupying Genai Amaru's body, even though the function of his hands was restored at that time, Orochimaru's strength was still weakened. Phew, even if you want to practice the dangerous mode of Landi Cave Immortal technique, you can't do it. The extremely cold flame is just a troublesome method for a strong person at the level of the Whitesnake Immortal. Soon the Whitesnake Immortal used a special shedding substitute to get rid of the extremely cold flame attack, but the remaining power still made the old man who cherished his life. Snake took a few steps back and looked at Beishi cautiously. What on earth is going on with you? Looking at the timid old snake across from him, Beishi's aura became even more astonishing. Whitesnake Immortal, are you sure that the immortal mode I have now is the Landi Cave version of immortal mode? In an instant, the majestic magical chakra around Shiraishi soared into the sky, and the roar of the dragon shocked everyone. The Whitesnake Immortal could no longer stay in Shiraishi's consciousness space, and both parties returned to the real world. Regarding Beishi's words, Whitesnake Immortal couldn't believe what he saw. After returning to the real world, Whitesnake Immortal's face was very ugly. The failure to seize the body brought backlash that was extremely painful. Could it be said that the successful breakthrough you just made is a new immortal mode? Successfully practicing the complete immortal mode of Raichi Cave was nothing more than it was transformed into Shiraishi's exclusive immortal power at the moment of completion. This kind of talent and ability surprised Whitesnake Immortal Point. The dragon seal shone with dazzling light, and Shiraishi stepped forward step by step. The immortal mode of Senju Hashirama is probably not the original immortal mode of Shigao Forest, right? Since he can do it, I can do it too. Feeling the continuous power in his body, Shiraishi can clearly feel that his body is completely different from before, and his perception of chakra in the entire world is also clear. Various emotions such as anger, shock, and anxiety filled the surface of the Whitesnake Immortal. After a while, the old snake quickly calmed down. Haha, it seems that I have given you an advantage in vain. The Whitesnake Immortal did not continue to take action. Even if he killed a human being in front of him, it would not help. Kanshu www.ukanshu.net. His Dragon Ball had lost a lot of natural power, but it was not irreparable. As for the inheritance of Langdi Cave, he also learned about it, but the old poisonous snake, it doesn't matter. What's more, it has no confidence in taking down the human being in front of it. Point as an old monster who has been practicing for thousands of years. Whitesnake Immortal has a completely different perspective on problems than ordinary people in the world. Since it has failed, it will no longer be too demanding and avoid being overly persistent and causing paranoid thoughts, so it adjusts its mentality quickly. What's going on with the immortal mode you created? After all, your cultivation of immortal arts was given to you by Langdi Cave. Why is it different in the end? In the Dragon Seal Immortal mode, Shiraishi's perception was very keen, and he naturally realized that the huge poisonous snake in front of him was no longer hostile, so he briefly explained the difference between his Dragon Seal mode and the traditional Raichi Cave mode. The more he listened to the Whitesnake Immortal, the more he was secretly surprised by Shiraishi's ability. Point from Shiraishi's point of view, although Whitesnake Immortal has always had no good intentions towards him, he still taught him the complete information of immortal mode after all, so Shiraishi did not refuse this request. Point the Dragon Seal Immortal mode created by Shiraishi abandoned the snake physique and used the human physique as the basis to create this special Dragon Seal Immortal mode, which mainly allows the use of dragon skills. In fact, with the completion of the Dragon Seal Immortal mode, various cards in the dragon skill column in the glasses system have begun to be unlocked one by one. Point, even if the Whitesnake Immortal masters the secret, it will not be able to exert its maximum power, because it needs to be used in conjunction with dragon skills. In Shiraishi's glasses system, several dragon skill cards finally appeared unlocked, and the most eye-catching one was the particularly dazzling golden dragon card, Immortal. Although I have successfully cultivated immortal mode, I still want to come over tomorrow to ask you a few questions. By the way, can you still lend me the Dragon Ball? No. Borrowing. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244, The Power of Dragon. In 18 days, he completed the Sage Mode training. He is worthy of being the most outstanding ninja of this era. Under the dim light, in the Kazekage office, Orochimaru's projection could be seen sneering several times. He also had a hint of schadenfreude about Whitesnake Sento's miscalculation. Point Shiraishi, who was sitting on Kazekage's desk, held up a cup of tea. This time, if it weren't for Orochimaru Senpai's prompts, I could have successfully avoided Whitesnake Senin's plan. Orochimaru smiled happily and looked at Shiraishi with admiration and cherishment, as if he were an aunt caring for a child. You can still deal with Whitesnake Sento without my prompting. Although I knew that Shiraishi was very talented, I didn't expect that he would be so fast this time in the Sage Mode. Point he succeeded in cultivating the Sage Mode in which the body and will transform at the same time. According to Shiraishi's description, this unique Dragon Seal Sage mode was of great help to his research, so the more he looked at Shiraishi, the more he liked it. After taking a few sips of tea, Shiraishi quickly put down the teacup in his hand and focused his attention on the direction of the land of rain. What are Akatsuki's recent trends? Mentioning Akatsuki, Orochimaru shook his head. It's still the same as in the past. Collecting intelligence information on Jinchuriki and tailed beasts from various countries, and performing some mercenary tasks issued by the underground black market to save a large amount of funds. At present, within the Akatsuki organization, a team mode of 2 people has begun. Orochimaru's partner is the Scorpion of Red Sand. This is something Shiraishi never expected. This guy dares to continue to appear. However, such a team model will naturally be of great benefit to the Akatsuki organization at this stage. The first is to avoid an arbitrary approach. Most Akatsuki members are very aware of their own strength, so arrogance is inevitable, but this kind of arrogance is also the biggest weakness of Akatsuki members. Since one's own pride may despise the opponent, or be too fond of fighting, and put oneself in danger and die, the advice of teammates is the most effective way to overcome the pride. When 2 people act together at the same time, 2 people assisting each other can also increase the success rate of the mission. In the ninja world, one person's power is always limited, so the meaning of teamwork spirit is more deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. The power of 1 + 1 is greater than 2. This is the law of the ninja world. The knowledge, experience, combat ability, and auxiliary abilities of your companions will all play a vital role in the successful completion of the mission. When encountering danger at the same time, the survival ability of 2 people is much stronger than that of 1 person. The final reason is the need to supervise each other to prevent spies from leaking Akatsuki's secrets. To survive, Akatsuki must eliminate the appearance of spies. When the 2 act together, they can supervise each other to see if they have betrayed the organization. However, Akasaka Scorpion and Orochimaru are both Frankensteins who like to stay in the base and conduct various research, so compared to other S-class rebellious ninjas, they are relatively homely. Ju is the biggest monitor within the Akatsuki organization, and currently his main focus is still on finding other suitable organization members. However, after a series of recent secret investigations, Orochimaru feels more and more mysterious that this organization is mysterious. Perhaps Akatsuki's purpose is exactly what you said, which is to collect the 10 resurrected tailed beasts. As a veteran in the ninja world, Orochimaru's acuity is not much worse than Shiraishi. In the past, he may not have cared about Akatsuki's goal, but with Shiraishi's reminder, Orochimaru finally found a clue point in the Akatsuki organization. Apart from the reincarnation eye, it is the masked man that worries Shiraishi the most. Do you have any intelligence clues about that mysterious man? I only know that he is a substitute member, and I don't know anything else. If it hadn't been for Shiraishi's reminder, Orochimaru would not have believed that such a person could be a master of time and space ninjutsu who could force Minato Namikaze and his wife to death on the night of the Kyuubi. This was beyond Orochimaru's expectations. I will continue to investigate his identity. After all, the barrier of Konoha can be broken so easily. I guess he is also from Konoha. Just when Orochimaru was about to leave, Shiraishi sighed. Be careful, Orochimaru-senpai, Kazekage-sama seems to be very concerned about my safety. Faced with Orochimaru's teasing, Shiraishi smiled. Of course, you are Sunagakure's most important talent. I didn't agree to join Sunagakure. Orochimaru doesn't like to be restrained by others. Although he can accept the current cooperation status, it does not mean that he will join Sunagakure in the future. Shiraishi didn't take this seriously. He had enough confidence in Orochimaru and himself. I will always join in the future. After ending the conversation with Orochimaru, Shiraishi focused on his Dragon Seal Sage mode. After mastering the power of the immortal, Shiraishi's perception of chakra in the world is much better than before, and he is more keen to detect a person's malice or good intentions, especially the abnormal chakra surrounding Uzumaki Chikori. Shiraishi is also more clear and accurate in judging point at the same time. With the completion of the Sage mode, a large number of unlocked dragon skills in Shiraishi's glasses skill system are also officially presented point at present. Shiraishi has collected a lot of dragon cards. The basic skills of these dragon skill cards are Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw, Dragon Tail, Dragon Dance, and a golden card that has been unlocked for a long time but cannot be used. Reading www.ukashu.net. Among them, the Dragon Escape Dragon Breath skill is a basic move of the Dragon Immortal technique. It can instantly emit powerful sign flames, paralyzing the opponent, and at the same time, the majesty of the dragon is undoubtedly displayed. The moment Shiraishi's double-eyed dragon seal appeared on the underground training ground, the dragon's breath instantly turned into a thick blue flame and shot out. Combined with the power of his own blue flame, the power of the dragon's breath increased several times in intensity. As the dragon's breath continued to bloom with great power under Shiraishi's control, the proficiency showed a skyrocketing trend, rising to 100% proficiency. The upgrade skill in the next stage of Dragon Breath is Dragon Escape Dragon Wave, which is similar to Dragon Breath, but it can condense the sign flame into a stronger energy ball and blast it out. Although it does not have the same proficiency as Dragon Breath just now, but it also maintains more than 50% proficiency point according to the order of the skill cards. As long as you complete the proficiency of Dragon Wave, you can proceed to the end of this series of skills, the practice of Dragon Escape and Dragon Meteor. In addition to these two moves, there are also Dragon Claws and Dragon Tail, both of which allow one's own chakra to materialize before attacking, and cooperate with Dragon Dance to enhance one's own speed and attack power. The only remaining golden dragon skill is Beisha's strongest magical attack method in the current Dragon Seal mode. In the simulation video, the majestic golden holy light can be seen condensing on the Dragon Seal, ejecting a terrifying beam of light that can punish everything. As if he is the strongest punisher in the world. Anyone hit by this move will temporarily suppress the power of blood in his body, allowing him to return to an ordinary ninja. Is this the power of a dragon? It can suppress the opponent's blood stains for a short time. Shiraishi held this dragon type golden card with a hint of touch in his eyes. Chapter 245, Immortal Magic Core Punisher. Blood inheritance in the ninja world is a technique that can generally only be inherited through blood relationships through genes. Usually, except for people of the same bloodline who can inherit it, others cannot learn it, and they cannot copy it, even if they use the Sharingan. Blood successor owners have special abilities, and all major countries and ninja villages attach great importance to them. On the one hand, it protects the blood inheritance boundaries of one's own ethnic group from outsiders, and on the other hand, it probes or destroys the enemy's blood inheritance boundaries. Due to the special nature of blood inheritance boundaries being passed down by blood, it often brings the danger of war, misfortune, and even genocide to the owning family. When the two chakra properties are mixed and used at the same time, a new escape technique will be produced, which is called the blood inheritance limit. For example, the combination of Feng Shui becomes ice, and the combination of earth and water becomes wood. Usually only a handful of ninjas can develop this new escape technique on their own. Once successful, this new escape technique will be recorded in the ninja's genes and passed on to the next generation through blood relations. The ability of a certain organ of the ninja's body that is different from that of ordinary people also belongs to the blood inheritance limit, such as the Uchiha clan's Sharingan, the Hyuga clan's Byakugan, the Kaguya clan's corpse veins, and the two magic techniques of the left and right. Immortal Technique Core Punisher is a powerful weapon against blood successor ninjas. The powerful punishment beam can instantly penetrate the blood of blood successor ninjas and temporarily suppress the blood successor's power in the body. This move is directly proportional to the opponent's strength. The stronger the bloodstained ninja, the shorter the suppression time will be. However, ordinary bloodstained ninjas will have nothing to hide from when faced with Shiraishi's punishment beam. The dragon escape secret technique that seals the blood succession must be combined with the white stimulus technique before it can be fully released. The art of white stimulation is a unique magic in the immortal mode of Raijin. The effect can cause the air in a certain area around to vibrate continuously, causing the attacker to feel that all the bones in the body are rubbing, and even causing the attacker's body to vibrate. Numbing occurs, and the bright light and sound produced by this spell damage the victim's vision and hearing point under the light of the dragon seal between his eyes. Shiraishi spit out a silver dragon directly from his mouth. Under the strong light, he quickly condensed 3 unique golden dragon beads and suspended them in midair compared with Yakushi Kabuto's Hakijiki no Jutsu in history. Shiraishi's Hakijetsu no Jutsu in Sage mode is more pure and domineering. The power of life contained in the 3 golden dragon balls has once again raised Shiraishi's body perception to a new level. The punishment beam transformed directly into the shape of a golden dragon and blasted towards the clay clone prepared by Shiraishi in advance. In an instant, the power containing various attribute combinations was suddenly shattered and destroyed, turning into a puddle of mud. The core punisher will have an unexpected effect against the blood successor ninja with the Rinnegan and Sharingan. The battle between ninjas is a confrontation between intelligence and trump cards. The power of time and space ninjutsu, Sasana, and the reincarnation eye is very powerful, but the moment the blood successor is suppressed, it will allow one to gain a higher level in the battle. Odds immortal method inorganic reincarnation. Soon, under the control of Shiraishi's inorganic reincarnation, these muds regained their strong vitality. As one of the signature methods of Raichid Senjutsu, this escape technique is mainly a reincarnation ninjutsu that gives life to inorganic objects and controls them. It is not a simple jutsu that uses chakra to control matter, and inorganic objects move quickly under the influence of this jutsu. The combination of the move of inorganic reincarnation and one's own magnetic escape will form a brand new immortal method and magnetic escape flow. Shiraishi does not need to transform substances. He can directly spray out the terrifying metal magnetic escape in one sip, covering a huge area in an instant. In Sage mode, Shiraishi's speed and efficiency in converting sand gathering techniques into Senjutsu chakra increased by more than 10 times. Overall, Shiraishi's own chakra volume began to break through the boundaries of traditional ninjas, rising to a frightening level. However, this level of chakra is not enough. Historically, Senju Hashirama has a chakra that exceeds that of all tailed beasts, including the Nine Tails. He is still one level behind Senju Hashirama. Just when Shiraishi was practicing Sage mode in the Sunagakure medical class, Uzumaki Chikori finally entered labor as a pregnant woman brought back by the Kazekage-sama. The whole sand-hidden village is currently discussing the relationship between Uzumaki Chikori and Shiraishi. Rumors are rife with rumors. At the same time, the medical team naturally treats Uzumaki Chikori's labor seriously, and the specifications used are the same as those in the previous chapter. Shigeru Aoki was born at the same time and received the same treatment. C. Do you think he will go to the medical class at Shiraishi's home? Juan coaxed the still infant Shigeru Aoki and gently asked Shigaraki, Chijao. Uzumaki's child has nothing to do with Shiraishi, but out of the desire to win over the Uzumaki clan, Shiraishi will definitely be present in person. As one of the parties involved, Shirogakiji naturally knew that Uzumaki Chikori and Shiraishi had no other relationship. After all, when Uzumaki Chikori was pregnant, she was still imprisoned in Ghostlight Castle, and she had never known Shiraishi. Yes, I understand. Juan's mood is very complicated now. Although she trusts her husband, she doesn't want Shiraishi to go to the medical class now. Just when Shirogakiji wanted to say more, Shiraishi in a blue coat entered the home. When Shiraishi returned home, he sat down and drank the water and smiled. Uzumaki Chikori is in labor. It is enough to be supervised by the medical class, but I need to accompany you at home. Reading www.ukanshu.net. There are so many rumors in the entire Sunagakure village. If Shiraishi accompanied Uzumaki Chikori when she went into labor without caring about Maki's mood, it would be a huge harm to his wife. Looking at her husband's gesture, Maki showed a smile and slowly walked forward and handed Feng Ying's uniform to Shiraishi. Then let's go to the medical class together. Shiraishi looked at the Kazekage specific regular clothes in his hand, showing confusion. Together? Well, let's go together. In fact, I'm also worried about Zilio's condition. As the leader of the sealing class, Juan is also extremely sensitive to chakra fluctuations. Now that a storm is coming in Sunagakure village, Jounin is naturally worried about her situation and safety. Looking at his wife's firm gaze, Shiraishi held her hand tightly, and the two of them, together with Shirogakiji who was watching the show, headed to the medical class together. As the current secret keeper of the rules of the ninja world, the Sage of Six Paths relies on special chakra will to exist in this world. The child in Uzumaki Chikura's belly is obviously incompatible with the will of the Sage of Six Paths, and is even vaguely antagonistic. This is why the weather in Sand Hidden Village was abnormal during this period, but Shiraishi knew very well that the Sage of Six Paths, as the defender of the rules, should not use extreme methods. After all, it was one of his principles not to interfere too much in the world. So far, the abnormal chakra surrounding Sunagakure village has been very limited and restrained within a very small range point. But as Chikori Uzumaki was about to give birth, Shiraishi could clearly feel a huge will that made his hair stand on end, and he was preparing to obliterate Chikori Uzumaki's existence. There was a huge explosion that made Shiraishi's eyelids jump. Master Kazekage, something serious has happened. Chapter 246, Immortal Technique. Big Sand Blasting. The architectural group pattern of the new Sand Hidden Village is arranged along a north-south central axis. The Kazekage office, the Seal Tower, and the cobblestone stage are all located on this central axis, and spread out to both sides, straight from north to south. Symmetrical from left to right. This central axis not only runs through the entire Shinsa Hidden Village, but also the towering Tower of Seals contains the Box of Bliss captured from the country of Kyushu. In order to seal the Box of Bliss, Shiraishi arranged a large number of sealing barriers to completely suppress the power of the Box of Bliss in this huge group of towers. However, something unexpected happened in Sunagakure village today. After the incident in Kusuno country, the Box of Bliss was sealed by Shiraishi in the sealing pyramid of Shinsa Hidden Village. It stands to reason that without the Black Sword key in the hands of the Tokuri clan and Ryoji Morimoto, the Box of Bliss could not be activated normally, and there was not even a possibility of leakage. Neither will exist. However, at the critical moment, when Uzumaki Chikori was about to give birth, the power of the Box of Bliss went out of control. Compared with the last time it was leaked, this time it was completely released, and the entire silver pyramid suddenly exploded. The negative natural energy leaked out, and killed several people in an instant. The barrier team quickly rushed to support, and suppressed the power of the Box of Bliss within a small area. But this force is getting bigger and bigger in time and space, as if it is going to blow up the entire Shinsha Hidden Village at any time. When Shiraishi heard the news, he almost gritted his teeth, and looked at the dark energy in the center of the new Sunagakure village in the distance. This time the power of the Box of Bliss went berserk. It was purely the result of deliberate guidance. Immortal of Six Paths, you old man. Unexpectedly, in order to prevent the child from being born in Uzumaki Chikura's belly, he directly detonated the power of the Bliss box in the pyramid, and huge dark natural power poured out from all directions when faced with a huge incident related to the safety of the entire Sand Hidden Village. Sand and dust rose from the sky. Aoki Shiraishi made a decisive decision, and used both hands to perform the technique. The surrounding sand and dust formed a special magnetic escape blockade. Shiraishi took action with an overwhelming and domineering momentum. A large number of sand ninjas who were infected by the energy of the Bliss box were quickly pierced into their bodies by countless silver sand needles, drawing out these violent natural powers. Kazekage-sama's chakra control is even more perfect than after completing the rescue work. Shiraishi quickly jumped up and stood in the air. The immortal sword at his waist flinched and vibrated. It was obvious that it did not want to face the Box of Bliss at the same time. The Box of Bliss also began to fight back. The power of nature it had previously absorbed began to condense a little, and the various flesh and blood it sucked began to reshape and condense in midair. This is the moment when blood and flesh come together. It gives people a chilling feeling. Under the reshaped body, a violent wave of chakra energy swept over. After careful inspection, everyone found that the monster in front of them had no face or facial features. It appeared very strangely in front of Beishi. Then, a gap opened on its bare face, and there seemed to be endless darkness inside. This outfit looks like the head of the Sanji family, Sanji's Aoharu, although Shanlu Zaochan has long since died. The clothes and family patterns of this strange faceless woman indicate that the box of bliss has created a body similar to Shanlu Zaochan. The Sunagakure jounin looked at the strange faceless man in the sky. What's going on? Why does the missing head of the Yamaji family appear here? Could it be that the incident in Kusuno country is related to her? After Shanji Zaoharu was killed by Shiraishi, the truth about this matter was sealed by Shiraishi. The outside world only knew that Shanji Zaoharu was missing, and her whereabouts were unknown, and they did not know what she did in the country of Nan. Shiraishi only did this for the sake of Shanlu Lingzi and to give face to the Shanlu family. As the founder of the ninja sect, Rakuto Sage has long been skilled in manipulating people's hearts. The Yamaji Moharu puppet he created was enough to stir up chaos within Sunagakure once again. Facing the discussions below, Shiraishi sighed. That's just the projection of the box of bliss. Shanlu Zaochan was swallowed up by it. It's just a puppet in front of him. After Shiraishi's explanation calmed everyone's discussion, countless whirlwind knives quickly blasted towards the faceless man in midair. However, he saw that she was very agile. During the process of evading, the cells in her body multiplied rapidly and turned into countless huge claws and shot out immortal magic blasts sand. When the dragon seal mode is activated, Shiraishi opens his mouth and spits out terrifying silver dust. The sand directly turns into a huge metal disk area in the sky. It is then combined with inorganic reincarnation to make the disc more active and adhesive. The white stone spewed out countless high temperature hot sand, and the surrounding temperature was extremely high. Everything was distorted, as if it were a mirage. Normal breathing would burn the airway, causing horrific injury. Shiraishi in sage mode seems to turn into a tailed beast, and can be directly blasted with sand, causing large-scale desertification. What? A terrifying amount of chakra. Is this the strength of Lord Kazekage? Not only that, he also strengthened the strength of the magnetic escape to prevent the battle from spreading to the village. The faceless monster shrank to the side and dodged to avoid the burning high temperature sand silver, but as soon as he stabilized his body, the high temperature airflow beside him deformed, outlining a strange sound wave. As the green flame on Beishi's palm burned, it hit the opponent's hand heavily. Right shoulder. Reading www.ukanu.net. Faceless monster showed no emotion, and his left hand turned into a scabbard and shot diagonally towards him, turning into a terrifying high-speed slashing attack. Zeng. The faceless monster's attack and defense were perfectly coordinated, and Beishi's fist burst into green flames, turning into a dragon's energy and biting out. Under the attack of immortal magic, the faceless monster had no time to evade, and the dragon's head bit the lower half of its body, but the latter sprayed out a huge dark poisonous mist, trying to engulf the white stone. At this time, the inorganically reincarnated magnetic release at the foot of Shiraishi seemed to be in a blooming silver lotus. The layers of petals were rapidly closing together to form an airtight defense system, forcibly blocking the opponent's covering offensive. Shiraishi's face remained calm, but his eyes shone with a bit of interest and eagerness to try. The two flames, the green flame and the extremely cold flame, were compressed together. In conjunction with his own magic, the flame stream was compressed to a tiny point and sprayed out. The beam of the explosion flashed high in the sky above sand-hidden village. Shiraishi, using the incomplete dragon seal mode, easily suppressed the Six Paths Sage's bliss box. The dragon seals under Shiraishi's eyes will adjust according to the user's different states. As the faceless monster retreats, the silver knife on Shiraishi's waist is calmed down little by little. Slowly holding the weapon that had been given to Ashura by the Six Paths Sage in the past, Shiraishi's celestial chakra swept through the sword's body, and the original restlessness and uneasiness disappeared. You are my sword and you must obey me. Do you understand? After the powerful magic power wiped away the remaining 6 auras on the immortal sword, Beishi flashed the silver sword in his hand, and at the same time, his whole body burst into dazzling light. Even if you are the Sage of Six Paths, you have no right to interfere with Sunagakure's affairs. Chapter 247, Tomoko Uzumaki. At the same time, Uzumaki Chikori was in the delivery room with a face full of pain. She was sweating profusely and was trying to give birth to the child in her body, but she was almost breathless and gave birth as if she was blocked by something. Www. The entire Sunagakure medical team was very anxious to deal with it, but under the detection of various instruments, they could not find out what the problem was with Chikori Uzumaki's current condition. In the end, there was only one conclusion. Perhaps Uzumaki Chikori's body was too weak, causing her current dystocia to be unable to give birth smoothly. Too weak. She is from the Uzumaki clan. How could her vitality be weak? When the nine-tailed Jinchuriki Uzumaki Kushina was pulled out of the nine-tails, she could still survive, which shows that the Uzumaki clan has strong vitality. Shiraishi is very disappointed with the standard of the people in the medical class. Sunagakure has greatly improved in all aspects over the years, but in the field of medical ninjutsu, it is still far behind Konoha. Now it cannot even solve a small production point as the direct successor of the Uzumaki clan. Uzumaki Chikori does not exaggerate her vitality as much as Uzumaki Kushina, but she will not exhaust her vitality by giving birth to a child. Grandma Chiyo, as Sunagakure's most senior midwife, Chiyo's mother-in-law quickly rushed to the medical class after learning about Uzumaki Chikori's condition. Although she did not know the relationship between Shiraishi and Uzumaki Chikori, the fact that the Uzumaki family's heir was difficult to give birth still made Chiyo very sad. Seriously, she didn't want to be ridiculed by those medical ninjas in Konoha in the future. Grandma Chiyo looked slightly embarrassed after checking Uzumaki Chikori's condition. But in fact, Uzumaki Chikori was indeed in a state of dystocia, and the rampage of the bliss box outside delayed Shiraishi. To suppress this violent force of nature, Shiraishi had no reservations. As the color of the dragon seal in his eyes became darker, his own immortal mode began to gradually strengthen. Shiraishi waved one hand and swept out his sharp claws. The faceless monster took a few steps back. Although half of its body was shattered by Shiraishi, it could still repair its own damage continuously. The purpose of the box of bliss was to mass produce a large number of sage mode warriors by the Sage of Six Paths. Unfortunately, most humans could not withstand the power of nature, and were eventually abandoned by the Sage of Six Paths. The predecessor of the faceless monster, Shanlu Zaochin, had the same purpose of trying to seize the box of bliss before he was alive. Part of the broken body turned into blood and sand with an endless corroding stench, and rushed toward Beishi. With blood and sand all over the world, the faceless monster's strength has increased rapidly. When he enters the pseudo-immortal mode, his sand control skills are much more powerful than before. Although it has been trying to expand the scope of the battlefield, the combination of inorganic reincarnation and magnetic escape under Shiraishi's feet has kept the two people's battlefield bound to this huge silver desert area in midair. Several ninjas in Sunagakure saw this scene and sighed. Third Kazekage's current ability to control sand has reached a level that we cannot understand. If you can't understand, you will never be able to keep up with Master Kazekage. A young genin wearing the emblem of the Sanji family looked at the battle in the sky with a fanatical look. Kazekage-sama opened a library and established a scientific concept of ninjutsu. Isn't it because he hopes that the overall strength of our Sunagakure village will increase? A single powerful person cannot make the entire civilization system progress. Shiraishi hopes that Sunagakure and even the entire Wind Country will establish a scientific concept of ninjutsu and contribute to making Sunagakure strong. If you lament that the gap between yourself and Feng Ying is too big and lose the desire to make progress, then Feng Ying's hard work will be in vain. Shanlu Kwazu, a genin like you, how dare you say such a thing? Faced with the discussion, Shanlu Kwazu didn't care. As the only remaining genius among the three streams of Shadun, he has a strong desire to learn. Under this influence, he has become the leader of the younger generation of Sand Hidden. When it comes to talking skills, ZHU is better than Zishu. A slim figure appeared from behind the winding bamboos on the mountain road, and the pink-haired girl Luozi said with a smile. Uzumaki Tamuki, Yamaji Makatake, and Luozi are the three strongest graduates from this ninja school, and they are assigned to the same group, led and guided by Shirogakiji. Shirogaki is the monitor of the jounin class and a close confidant of the Kazekage. These 3 people have been assigned to this jounin since they graduated, which is enough to show the importance that Sunagakure's senior management attaches to the cultivation of this generation of young people. The scorching high temperature silver sand, controlled by Beishi, once again spurted out a huge desert wave, sweeping over the faceless monster below. I saw the faceless monster ejecting vast devouring power from the cracker on its head, seeming to tear apart everything around it. Combined with the power of blood and sand, it turned into a scene of doomsday destruction. The box of bliss should also reach its limit. It was obvious that facing the powerful 5th Kazekage, the bliss box as the core began to show signs of instability. Seizing the opportunity, Shiraishi jumped up, and a huge silver dragon-shaped airflow roared past. Immortal technique cold flame dragon breath. The extremely cold flames combined with the dragon's breath quickly froze the blood and sand around the faceless monster inch by inch. Even the poisonous mist that hit the air stopped and became crystal clear as an upgraded version of the power of the blue flame. The extremely cold flame not only restrains the distortion of fantasy and reality such as the box of bliss, but also freezes it. Although the faceless monster still wants to resist, the remaining energy in the bliss box is not enough to get him out of the predicament. Like a gorgeous ice lotus blooming in the air, Beishi looked at the broken faceless monster in front of him without much joy. If the box of bliss hadn't reached its limit, I would still be stuck there for a while. The box of bliss can no longer be kept. The body of the faceless monster was broken bit by bit. Beishi didn't give him any chance. He quickly turned the silver knife. Shocked by the cold light, Beishi's arm began to explode in strength. The silver knife turned into a slash in Shiraishi's hand. Reading www.ukashu.net. After the faceless monster's body was shattered, the remaining whirlwind power destroyed the box of bliss at the same time. Then Shiraishi took out a large scroll and suspended it. The magnetic escape field of the disc in midair was recovered. The battle was over, but at this moment, lightning and thunder thundered again above Sunagakure, and dark clouds gathered, and heavy rain poured down. Over in the medical class, Uzumaki Chikure's life had reached its limit. Facing the obstruction of the 6th Path Sage, Shiraishi took out his silver knife and looked up at the sky. The consciousness of the Senju chakra in his body continued to spread, playing like a loudspeaker. If you succeed in preventing the birth of a child today using this method, then I will find out the reincarnated son of Ashura and Indra at all costs, and strangle it in the cradle using the same method. The so-called reincarnation of Ashura and Indra is just the reincarnation attachment of the chakra will of the two. It has nothing to do with Shiraishi's knowledge of Ashura. The Sage of 6 Paths did not hesitate to break the rules to prevent the birth of Uzumaki Chikure's child. It is obvious that those two destiny in history the son should be born again. Facing Shiraishi's threat, the huge dark cloud above the entire sand-hidden village remained silent for a long time, and finally dissipated. Then the cry of a baby resounded throughout the entire Sunagakure village. The baby girl's unique cry contained chakra fluctuations, and even Shiraishi felt a little pressure. After using all his strength to give birth to the twin girls in front of him, Uzumaki Chijou turned pale, showed a relieved smile, and slowly closed his eyes. Xianglin, Zizi. After using the last of his strength to name the two children, Chiho Uzumaki could not say a word. Anne, her two daughters Uzumaki Koru and Uzumaki Tomoko were finally successfully born. Chapter 248, Absolute Vigilance. In the Sunagakure medical class, when Tomoki Uzumaki rushed into the delivery room, he saw that his sister's body was already cold, and he couldn't help but tremble. Having been dependent on his sister since childhood, he grabbed her sister's hand and never put it down for a long time. Shiraishi looked at Uzumaki Tomoki looking so sad, and he could not bear it in his heart. If the Sage of 6 Paths hadn't stopped him, Uzumaki Tomoki would not have been exhausted and died. My condolences. Your sister's greatest hope is that you will raise your two children well, Tomoko. Uzumaki is the next generation of Sunagakure's destined child. When she was born, even the Sage of 6 Paths almost intervened, which shows that she has an extraordinary future. In fact, Shiraishi's secret research on the Uzumaki clan has officially begun. After collecting enough samples from the cells of the Uzumaki clan for investigation and exploration, Shiraishi was even more impressed by the terrifying physique of the Uzumaki clan. They were worthy of being one of the largest clans alongside the Senju clan back then. During the Warring States period, there were 4 major blood families that stood at the pinnacle of the ninja continent. In addition to the Senju and Uchiha, the other 2 major clans were the Uzumaki and Hagoromo clans. Among them, the Hagoromo clan was hostile to the Uchiha and Senju clans at the same time, forming a tripod situation. Unfortunately, the Uchiha Senju clan later united to establish the Leaf Village, and the Hagoromo clan was directly destroyed by the attack of the 2 clans. As for the Uzumaki clan, they also retreated from the country of Whirlpool, and left the core area of the ninja continent during this period. After the parallel era of the 5 major villages, the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan have long since declined through the changes of the times. The Uchiha clan will also be exterminated in 8 years. The 4 major blood successor families will eventually be reduced to the dust of history, which is not very sad. At present, Shiraishi has collected various blood inheritance data. The Uzumaki clan, Hyuga clan, and Uchiha clan all have a lot of materials. Even the wood escape cell Shiraishi obtained part of it from Orochimaru. The Hagoromo family, the most mysterious among the 4 blood successor families, has its orphans and old address in the Land of Fire, and cannot be investigated for the time being. Shiraishi organized and summarized these data and information. Although it was impossible to replicate Uzumaki Tomoko's case again, the Uzumaki clan's powerful vitality and huge amount of chakra provided more accurate data for Shiraishi and Orochimaru's research. Master, thank you. Although he failed to save his sister, he still saved the 2 children. As a mature boy, Uzumaki Tomoki quickly put aside his grief and calmed down. You live next to my house, and now that Zilio is gone, Jounin can help take care of Zimiko and Xianglin in the future when you are not free to perform tasks. Since the Uzumaki clan joined Sunagakure, the home Shiraishi has placed for them happens to be adjacent to his own Kazekage residence. It is precisely because of this incident that the village's speculation about the relationship between Shiraishi and Uzumaki Chijo has been deepened. Sometimes Uzumaki Tomoki also doubts whether something really happened between his sister and the Kazekage in the past. Otherwise, why would the Kazekage care so much about his sister and the child in her belly? After calming down Uzumaki Tomoki, Shiraishi picked up the 2 children one by one. Among them, Uzumaki Koru showed a very happy smile when he saw Shiraishi. Koru was born with strong perception. Although he was a baby, he seemed I really like the feeling of being with Shiraishi. As for Tomoko Uzumaki, although she has a blood relationship with Shiraishi, Shiraishi can't see any emotional fluctuations in her eyes, as if she is born with indifference. Except for the cry. When she was born, she never cried again, and stayed quietly in Shiraishi's arms. Shiraishi's round pupil slowly opened, and a powerful pupil power could be vaguely seen on Uzumaki Tomoko's forehead, but Shiraishi was very clear and certain that this was not the Byakugan, but the reincarnation eye above the Byakugan. However, the power of the reincarnation eye technique is too strong. Currently, under Shiraishi's seal, the 3rd reincarnation eye on Uzumaki Tomoko's forehead will not be able to open within 10 years. This suppresses a blood inheritance in her body. Shiraishi is afraid that, if she has such a powerful power, since she was a child, she will not be able to open her eyes, will become addicted to it. Besides, it is not a good thing to show differences from peers too early. Shiraishi still hopes that Tomoko Uzumaki can have a complete and happy childhood. The rampage of the Box of Bliss and the birth of Tomoko Uzumaki are 2 completely unrelated events in the entire ninja world. However, the 3 major ninja villages are very sorry and think that the Box of Bliss is nothing more than that. Yin simply rushed into the street without causing much damage. The only one who was skeptical was Zetsu. As the person with the strongest perception in the ninja world today, he could clearly detect an aura in Sunagakure that made him extremely disgusted during that period, and that was the 6th path sage Otsutsuki Hagoromo. Although he knew that this brother had always existed in this ninja world in this form, it was inconceivable that he would not hesitate to put down the rules that had been established for thousands of years and take action himself. To target certain things, Shiraishi's confrontation with a Box of Bliss is actually a conflict between Sunagakure and 6th Path Sage. Zetsu is very curious about what it is, and even Otsutsuki Hagoromo can't help but take action. A cry made Zetsu's heart skip a beat, as he was also sensitive. The feeling of familiarity similar to that of his mother made Zetsu suddenly realize that an extraordinary existence was born in the current Sunagakure village. That kind of power is similar to the mother's Byakugan. It is obvious that the woman of the Uzumaki clan gave birth to a child who is an atavistic descendant. Uzumaki Chikori knew the information from the beginning, but he didn't expect that the child he gave birth to would have such terrifying power. Even though the powerful white eyes on her forehead were sealed, she was definitely as if she was her mother reborn. Thinking of this, Zetsu showed a happy smile. Over the years, Sunagakure's strong rise had given him a lot of headaches, because as Shiraishi's power grew stronger, the success rate of Nagato and Obito's plans became more and more difficult. But it is extremely difficult to deal with Shiraishi. In a head-on confrontation, no one in the ninja world can beat him, even Obito. Reading www.onshu.net. The only Namikaze Minato couple who had a chance to compete were also tricked to death by their own teammates. Although the Ninetales Rebellion was created to drive a wedge between Konoha and Uchiha, it seems that the declining Konoha has made it even more difficult to fight against Sunagakure. In addition, Shirogakure was in his hands until he was unable to stop the full expansion of the Sunagakure Sea. To play a hand of cards so badly and to be so complacent and think that everything was planned by him, Zetsu is speechless. Compared to Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Obito is really unreliable, has too many surprises, and all kinds of nonsense. His style also made him quite uncomfortable, although there was also a being in Beiju's clone who was more out of the box than him. If Madara was in charge of these things, he would never weaken Konoha at this time. In the battle at Mount Kakayo, assisting Sunagakure to destroy the Konoha intelligence sensing class was an example. Today's Akatsuki organization has almost no cards to play. Perhaps when Nagato's 6 puppets are completed, there will be hope for a battle. However, this child can definitely become a backup plan for the future mother's resurrection. In Zetsu's understanding, the mother's power is invincible. Since she is interested in this child, she will only be controlled by Kaguya in the future. He didn't take into account other risks. Zetsu, who was in the land of rain, covered up his emotions and briefly described the latest information about Sunagakure to Obito. You said that a descendant of the Uzumaki clan with outstanding talent was born in Sunagakure village. Yes, it even caused the power of the box of bliss to go berserk. Obito had no idea what Zetsu was thinking. He just regarded this information as an interesting anecdote and did not take it to heart. If it were Uchiha Madara, it would definitely arouse his alarm. Chapter 249. Cute little Temari. Obito is concerned about Sunagakure, mainly because he is afraid of Shiraishi. Since the decline of Konoha, Sunagakure has become more and more powerful on this continent. At the same time, the pressure on Shirogakure over the sea has also increased. Because the 4th generation of Mizukachi Yagura, under his control, led the entire Shirogakure in a very terrible direction of self-destruction. The Bloodstep family, the Mizukachi and the Bloodstep family, the Daimyo and the Mizukachi, almost every class was fighting against each other. Shirogakure's blood flowed very violently, even to the point of being uncontrollable. Now even if Obito wants to integrate Shirogakure's power, he is powerless to fight against the sea, which is also eyeing Sunagakure. It has to be said that Obito has made an indelible contribution to the rise of Sunagakure over the years, forcing Minato and his wife to death, causing Shirogakure to fall into a whirlpool of internal strife and lose control of the sea. All of these combined, Shiraishi can award them Ask Man the highest award, Best Contribution Award. The Shirogakure Intelligence Department seems to have fallen into the hands of Sunagakure. Even the Mizukachi cannot grasp the complete information on the movements of all parties within Shirogakure. When it comes to the Intelligence Department, Obito gets a headache. As a conspirator who has become a monk on the way, he is not as versatile as Uchiha Madara and has no experience in managing a village. Shirogakure's civil strife, although there was an element of his revenge on Shirogakure, was more caused by his inability to manage Shirogakure village. It is said that Shiro Obito graduated directly from the ninja school at the height of the 3 Konoha Wars, and the cultural class seemed still failing. Obito is almost an illiterate. How can he talk about management experience after all the messing around? Shirogakure was beaten to death by him. Only now did he realize that his own intelligence department had already become the back garden of Sunagakure's intelligence department. It was too much of an afterthought. Oni Tauheizuki, Shirogakuri's new genius, currently controls the entire intelligence department together with Tsukuyomi Fuguoni, allowing him to become his own force independent of the Mizukage office. In addition to the Watermelon Mountain Fuguoni, there are also members of more than a dozen bloodline families, large and small, who have joined the intelligence department and have been protected by Oni Tauheiyu. There are even some jounin who are openly rebellious against Shirogakure and have been arrested. Oni Dengheiyu was sent to Sunagakure for intelligence collection. Not long after, these Shirogakure ninjas were recruited by Sunagakure and joined the branch of Kusuno Kuni or Takumi no Kuni. For Obito, this Shirogakure intelligence department has almost become a management office for openly smuggling into the Kingdom of Wind. You can imagine how corrupt and decayed the entire organization has become. Obito, who is currently the most illiterate in the ninja world, has only one way to deal with this problem, and that is to directly send the Shirogakure jounin squad to destroy the intelligence department. A few days later, in Shirogakure village, Master Mizukage issued a secret mission to each jounin, asking them to attack their own intelligence department. When all the jounin received the appointment letter, they frowned and were thinking about a very serious matter. Mizukage-sama's illness seems to be getting worse again, and your mind seems to be getting more and more confused. This was the first reaction of the Shirogakure jounins to Obito's order, because this kind of nonsensical appointment had happened countless times in the past few years, when Obito controlled Mizukage and took charge of Shirogakure. Less than 5 minutes after Obito's order was issued, it fell in front of the Watermelon Mountain Fugu Demon and others. Mr. Ghost Lantern, what should we do next? Facing Mizukage's butcher's knife, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost suddenly lost his backbone. As the owner of Shark Muscle, he was so cowardly and fearful. At the same time, Ghost Denheiyu was disappointed with him, but his eyes revealed a hint of cruelty. This is our best chance to abolish the Mizukage. Now most people in the entire village are very resistant to this appointment. Abolish the Mizukage. Ghost Lantern Heiyu's words made Zigwashin Puffer Ghost's heart skip a beat. Since the establishment of Shirogakure village, there has never been a precedent for abolishing Mizukage. Just when Zigwashin Puffer Ghost was still hesitating, a young and cold boy walked out slowly. I agree with Senior Ghost Deng's proposal. If I don't kill you, as Shiragakure's most famous demon, Zabuza's eyes were cold. The Mizukage is no longer normal. To save this village, we must kill him. Although Momochi Zabuza is only 14 years old now, he is already a famous demon in the village. In the ninja graduation exam, which asked students to kill each other, he single-handedly killed all the students in the year. Such a tragic result is. Even Obito was surprised. The entire Shirogakure exam was changed because of him. Now he is a member of the Enbu of the Shirogakure intelligence department and has become an outstanding master of silent assassination. In fact, during this period of time, Zabuza was secretly conducting a coup to assassinate the Mizukage. It turns out that historically he failed, which forced Zabuza and his colleagues to leave the Shirogakure village. However, this did not make Zabuza give up his goal. While escaping from the Anbu, he was planning the next coup. He was then hired to carry out assassinations by anyone willing to pay a high price. In fact, such a person hates the current situation of Shirogakure village more than anyone else. The method of killing all his companions is also a violent act in an extremely repressive environment. In addition to Momochi's abuser, many Enbu masters in the intelligence department have expressed their allegiance to Kaden Heizuki. Mizukage's rebellious behavior in the village was unpopular and reduced the 5 great ninja villages to a second-rate force. Now the world only knows that there are 4 great ninja villages, but there is no explanation from the 5 great ninja villages. It is obvious that Shirogakure has been eliminated from the current ninja world. This is undoubtedly a profound blow to some old people who miss the glory of Shirogakure in the past. Especially when the country of Takumi was conquered by Sunagakure, Shirogakure did not make any move, which further confirmed that the country of water was already in decline. Many northern island countries began to seek refuge with Kumo Ninja or Sunagakure, breaking away from Shiragakure's control point. If Konoha and Kumo Ninja hadn't hoped that Shirogakure could continue to act as a buffer on the sea, the Kingdom of Water would have been destroyed long ago. Therefore, under the conscious guidance of Ghost Dengheiyu, a huge civil strife in the Kingdom of Water is about to take place. Uncle Shiraishi. At Shiraishi's home, Yoshamaru came to visit with little Temari in his arms. As soon as he put down the little blonde Lalita, he saw her babbling and walking forward, and even almost tripped. However, she quickly stood up and stepped forward to pull her, giggling while wearing Shiraishi's clothes. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Seeing such a cute little Temari, Shiraishi felt very good and picked up the little girl in front of him. Brother Yoshamaru, you have been working hard recently. Since Rasa stepped down from the position of Kazekage in the death of Girurio, the former Kazekage had already lost his soul. Shiraishi gave him a position as Kazekage consultant, but he was also absent-minded and drank to drown his sorrows all day long. In this state, Rasa couldn't take care of the 3 children at home. Yoshamaru and Roshi were currently taking care of them. As the niece of Gararu, Roshi is currently teamed up with Uzumaki Tomoki and Yamaji Kakatake. She is outstanding in strength and is an iconic beauty. She has many suitors in the entire Sunagakure village. Yamaji Kakuzu and Uzumaki Tomoki both like this companion very much. Even start a competitive pursuit. While the two were chatting, little Temari opened her little hands and said, "Kiss, Uncle Shiraishi." Also, little Temari is hungry. When little Temari spoke, she couldn't help but drool. Obviously, every time she went to Shiraishi's house, she was most impressed by Uncle Shiraishi's various delicious ice creams, drinks, and desserts. These are all delicacies that cannot be eaten elsewhere, so seeing Uncle Shiraishi, little Temari was very flattering and came forward to act cute and ask for some things she wanted to eat. Chapter 250, Arrogant Ye Cang. Over the years, Sunagakure has become stronger and stronger. Rasa, the former Kazekage, almost no one remembers his existence. Coupled with the increasingly wealthy villages, there are almost no tribesmen willing to follow Rasa. Even Magi, they all gradually became indifferent to Eluosha. In the process of forming a sharp contrast between the dimness of the 4th Kazekage and the scenery of the 5th Kazekage, Eluosha was indignant at the beginning, but now he has become indifferent to these things later. His wife passed away in childbirth, which was a greater blow to Eluosha. Now he is very depressed all day long, with almost no ambitions in the past. He drinks at home every day to relieve his sorrows, without a trace of his past style. Rasa's current predicament is inseparable from Shiraishi himself. Such an awkward identity and position means that Shiraishi and Rasa have almost no communication. They can only pin their hopes on Yoshamaru. Maybe he can enlighten the 4th generation. Uncle Shiraishi, Temari wants to eat ice cream today. The chocolate ice cream you made last time was delicious. When Shiraishi was distracted, little Temari pulled Shiraishi's clothes and said cute things several times. Seeing such a cute little Lala's cute eyes, Shiraishi had no resistance at all. "I'll prepare it for you right now." Who dares to treat the Kazekage-sama as a cook? At present, little Temari is the only Lali in Sunagakure village who dares to do this. Just when Shiraishi entered the kitchen, little Temari was playing with Fat Orange. It must be said that, although Orange Cat is an arrogant fat cat, it is very friendly to little Temari and is even willing to use herself as a furball to let little Temari push and play. The fat tangerine with plump flesh and the giggling little Temari formed a very vivid picture in Shiraishi's home. The special chocolate prepared by Shiraishi has a much lighter taste than ordinary chocolate. Now he quickly breaks down the chocolate, mixes it with the tree juice, and puts it in a warm oven, stirring it until it melts, and mixes it together. Dissolve the sugar pressed from the tree fruit in water over low heat, then raise the temperature and boil rapidly for a few minutes to obtain a pink special syrup. By the time the syrup takes on its brighter red color, the white stone is ready, falling slightly onto a cold plate, forming a line when stretched between fingers and thumb. Let the mixture cool for a minute. Shiraishi's action made Yoshamaru stunned. It must be said that his cooking skills have never deteriorated, especially when it comes to making desserts. Shiraishi can be said to be the strongest pastry chef in the ninja world. Every action involves Shiraishi's meticulous operation. The combination of countless water and ice shreds makes the entire chocolate ice cream richer and richer in taste. At this time, Shiraishi pours out the egg yolk and stirs it. Prepare to cook hot syrup mixed with berries dripping. Blend until the mixture becomes thick and mousse-like. Fold the melted chocolate and mix thoroughly using the white stone fire control technology. During the freezing process, the aroma emerged spontaneously. Little Temari and Fat Orange both looked at each other with obsession. Soon Shiraishi placed a portion of the completed super chocolate ice cream in front of Little Temari. The little lolly happily started eating it while eating ice cream, while not forgetting to give Fat Orange a bite. The amount of dessert should be controlled within a certain range. Don't pamper her too much. At first, Yoshamaru had no plans to go to Shiraishi's house, but as he passed by the Kazekage's house, Little Temari clamored to come in to eat ice cream, which made him have no choice but to bring her in. As the fragrance filled his nostrils, Ye Cang, who was accompanying Maki in another room in Shiraishi, walked out. Yoshamaru, you have not made any progress over the years, and you are almost going to give up being a full-time nanny. Ye Kira's voice caused sweat to drop from Yoshamaru's forehead. The two of them had a relationship in the past because their sister Giroro and Yukira were classmates, but over the years, Yukira has never given him a good look. Yoshamaru likes Ye Cang a little, but the latter has no interest in him at all. On the one hand, Yoshamaru is slightly younger than Ye Cang, and on the other hand, Ye Cang doesn't like boys who are weaker than him. Ye Cang, you are here too. Well, Juan just gave birth to a baby. I came to see her. Just as Ye Cang was talking, Yoshamaru was very attentive and handed another ice cream that Shiraishi prepared for him to Ye Cang. Here is a Kazekage special ice cream. Maybe you will like it. Cut. Although he didn't look good to Yoshamaru, Yukira couldn't help but eat Shiraishi's dessert. Ye Cang was eating dessert when he suddenly thought of something. I heard that you asked Juan to help take care of the two Uzumaki twins. This guy is awesome. He is popular both inside and outside the walls, and so is that silly girl who actually agreed to help take care of the two children of the Uzumaki family. Teacher, those two children really have nothing to do with Shiraishi. Maki, who was coaxing Shigeru Aoki in the inner room, seemed to hear some movement outside. He happened to see Ye Cang's question and explained directly. Seeing how Juan defended Shiraishi, Ye Cang was really jealous and envious. Every time he wanted to question Shiraishi, Juan, this girl, would come forward to defend her husband without giving him any face as a teacher. As for Beishi, he seems to have been used to it for a long time, so he didn't care about his problem just now, which made Ye Cang feel even more unhappy. Hug just when Ye Cang was sulking, Temari finished her dessert, walked up and wiped the ice cream residue on Ye Cang's face, and then giggled. Seeing such a cute little golden lolly coming to tease her like this, Ye Cang couldn't keep a cold face. Although her father was very annoying, as Giloro's daughter, she was very cute. In response to the teasing of the little lolly in front of him, Ye Cang squatted down helplessly. Little guy, you are going too far. However, Little Temari was not afraid of Ye Cang at all, and continued to smear Ye Cang's face with ice cream, and then continued to laugh. Is it funny? Ye Cang made a face, and stuck out his tongue, but saw Little Temari smiling even happier. For a moment, even Shiraishi and Maki couldn't help laughing when they saw Ye Cang like this. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Juan stepped forward, picked up a handkerchief, and wiped away the traces of ice cream on Ye Cang's mouth. Teacher, Little Temari seems to like you very much. Seeing Juan's half-smiling gaze, Ye Cang suddenly became arrogant again. I don't like children. Although he said this, Ye Cang's movements and demeanor could not conceal Juan. The latter covered his mouth, hugged Ye Cang and kissed him. Teacher, you are so arrogant again. Roll you up, uncle. Shiraishi. After playing with Agira for a while, Little Temari stepped forward cautiously and pulled Shiraishi's clothes. Little Temari, are you hungry again? No. Little Temari shook her head and looked at Shiraishi with tears in her eyes. Father, he is unhappy every day, which makes Little Temari very uncomfortable. Everyone says that Uncle Shiraishi is the greatest being in the village. Can you make him laugh? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.